Famine, war, resource depletion, climate change. A voice speaks out from the darkness, belonging to a man with his face obscured by shadows. He promises, you won't have to suffer from these kinds of problems anymore. Before a political leader, a cloaked figure raises a staff, continuing the proclamation. From this moment forward, as scenes of chaos and conflict flash by, showing mages intervening and subjugating those in power, the voice continues. We'll cease the centuries of indifference. The scene shifts to a massive global assembly where the world's leaders are gathered. And step up front to help you all. Above a towering skyscraper, a magical sigil glows, signifying a new era. Speaking for every mage here, the speaker is finally revealed to be Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok. In the name of Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok, I promise you, he declares, introducing himself to the world. The narration jumps back in time. Right around the time humanity's self-inflicted problems were driving civilization straight toward collapse, showing a city in ruins. Amidst the rubble, a small, injured boy lies unconscious, a victim of the world's decay. A mage, Jeong Ui-Hyeok, appears before the boy, a magical aura in his hand. The mages revealed themselves, and the problems everyone thought were impossible to solve vanished like magic. A mage is shown restoring nature to a barren land. Another mage single-handedly destroys tanks and military jets, ending wars with overwhelming power. A nuclear wasteland is instantly purified and overgrown with new life. The problems were not just solved, they were solved by actual magic. The world, having been saved by magic, an unprecedented golden age began. Crowds watch broadcasts of Jeong Ui-Hyeok, hailing him as a savior. And Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok, who led the mages to save the world and share magic with it. The Grand Mage himself stands atop a building, watching over the restored city. The scene shifts to a vast library. Jeong Ui-Hyeok stands with a small boy, both silhouetted against a bright doorway. He thinks, there are still way too many problems in the world that need magic. We see Jeong Ui-Hyeok's back as he speaks to the child. So I need more righteous and wise mages to carry out my will. A close-up on the boy's face shows him looking up with wide, innocent eyes. The Grand Mage tells him, I need your help. In the magnificent, seemingly endless library, Jeong Ui-Hyeok kneels down to the boy's level, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. I, the greatest Grand Mage, will make you the second greatest Grand Mage. The Grand Mage gently rests his hand on the boy's head. And when that time comes, can you promise to help me? Yujin. The boy's name is finally revealed. Filled with joy and determination, the young Yujin gives a thumbs up and a bright smile. Yes, master, I promise. The screen fades, then shows the words 26 years later. An adult man in a suit appears, his face contorted in fear as a faint magical light emanates from his hand. He pleads, Master, please. A different man with long green hair is on his knees, crying and begging for his life. Please spare me, he cries, thinking to himself. Something's wrong. The man in the suit stands over the green-haired man, a menacing magic circle glowing around his hand. The victim on the floor is terrified. My legs won't move. My senses feel off. I don't want to die yet. From the darkness, a grotesque, pale and bony hand with elongated fingers reaches out. The monstrous hand closes around the victim's face, who lets out a terrified scream. No, wait. Just a second, please. The criminal mage, ensnared by dark, shadowy tendrils, pleads in terror. Give me one more chance. His accomplice watches in horror as the first mage is consumed. He gasps, finally understanding the truth. It really exists. He collapses to the floor, his cane clattering beside him as the horrifying reality sinks in. I thought it was just some childish urban legend. He recalls the chilling tales of a monster wandering around, hunting down any mage they see and gruesomely wrecking them with bizarre magic. The legend identified this creature as the one and only stain on Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's record, his discarded disciple. From the shadows, the creature reveals his terrifying, mask-like face. The criminal whispers his name in utter horror. Yujin. Scrambling backwards, the criminal tries to bargain. Don't come any closer. If you want something, stop there and talk. But Yujin continues his silent advance. Panicked, the man screams, What, I told you not to come closer, you monster, and unleashes a powerful fire spell. The blast hits Yujin dead on, creating a fiery explosion. The criminal can only yelp, eek. The criminal thinks to himself, I thought I could believe anything that happened in the world. Magic exists, after all. But as the smoke clears, Yujin is revealed, completely unscathed by the fiery attack. Before the man can react, Yujin's shadowy hands envelop his face. The man can only think that thing. As he's overwhelmed, his final thoughts are of pure terror. That hideous abomination, it can't be magic. The scene shifts to a different part of the building, where the criminal's victims are being held. One of them notices the silence. The screaming stop. The kidnapped victims huddle together in a dark room. One whispers, Can't see a thing. while another asks hopefully, "Is this really the rescue?" Just then, the sound of a door unlatching is heard. As the door creaks open, the victims are overcome with relief. "It opened. Rescue for sure. This horrific slave life is finally over. Thank you so much." Their hope turns to horror as Yujin's grotesque, smiling face peers into the room. "Tilde he coos, found." Sometime later, the scene is outside a hospital. Ambulances are lined up, and emergency personnel are moving about. A paramedic reports on the state of the rescued victims. They've all been driven into extreme shock from long-term isolation in a confined space, but no life-threatening injuries among the kidnapping victims. A police officer and a detective observe the scene. The officer points out some unusual marks, saying, "More importantly, these marks looks like." The detective looks at the pile of defeated criminals, now bound in a mass of dark, shadowy substance. He thinks, "I just can't get used to this. There's only one mage we know of who could do something like this." The police officer calls out to his partner. Detective Kim Seung-Hae Tilde. The detective looks weary as he asks, "The victim's symptoms, group shock from confinement." A cheerful voice calls out, "We meet again, Tilde," as a figure confidently strolls toward the two officers. Detective Kim Seung-Hae can only mutter a reluctant, "Haha, yeah." It's Yujin, now in his unsettlingly cheerful humanoid form, waving with a wide, stitched-on smile. "Thanks for your hard work today," he exclaims. Detective Kim Seung-Hae thinks to himself, "Why do I feel like there's more to it?" "You're right." Yujin leans in close, his posture uncomfortably personal as he asks with genuine concern, how are the kidnapping victims?" The flustered police officer stammers, "Oh, don't worry, they're all fine, no life-threatening issues." Yujin lets out a huge sigh, his bizarrely long neck craning as he clutches his head. "Hugh, my God, what a relief," he says, glad the victims are safe. He recalls his first encounter with the victims. The second the door opened, they were foaming at the mouth and screaming. It was total chaos. Seeing their state, he had assumed the worst. "Thought they'd been tortured half to death, so I called 119 first, just in case it was too late." Yujin gestures to the bound criminals on the ground, explaining to the officers. "These mages kidnapped homeless folks and runaway teens, locked them up, and forced them to process magic ingredients." Holding one of the whimpering mages up by his head, Yujin muses, "Mages doing something that awful. How bad did they have to treat them for people to panic like that?" The terrified criminal can only apologize, begging for the spell to be lifted. "No worries," Yujin says calmly. "Sleep it off one night and you'll be back to normal. Reflect on it." The criminal screams as he is absorbed into the shadowy mass, much to Detective Kim Seung-Hae's silent shock. Detective Kim Seung-Hae's internal monologue begins as he watches Yujin. He thinks, Mage Yujin, from his appearance to the magic he uses, everything about him is suspicious and eerie, but overly friendly and nosy to an uncomfortable degree. The detective continues, remembering Yujin excitedly asking to be read the Miranda rights like in the movies. The monologue concludes, "He's helped us out multiple times and never asked for a dime." The detective thinks, "You shouldn't judge people by appearances." As if to prove his point, the police officer bows respectfully. "Mr. Yujin, thank you so much for your help again." Yujin gently stops Detective Kim Seung-Hae from bowing. "Come on, detective, no need to bow. It's only right for a mage to resolve a problem caused by a mage," Yujin says cheerfully, offering a small magical light. "Call any time if you need help." The detective, however, thinks to himself, the problem is his visuals are too much to put judgment off. Trying to be subtle, the detective brings up a serious topic. "Especially lately, rumors of a serial killer roaming the country. People are really scared, so I've been tracking it in my spare time." He continues, describing the killer. "They say it has an unbelievably gruesome face," as an image flashes, looking suspiciously like Yujin's monstrous form, "and butchers people beyond recognition," Detective Kim Seung-Hae says with grave concern, looking Yujin in his empty eyes. "We have to stop it before more innocent victims pile up. If you find any leads, you have to tell me." Yujin simply replies, "Sure." The officer beside him thinks, "Should I tell him you're the one from the rumors?" Yujin, oblivious, checks his phone. "Oh my, time flew by already." Detective Kim Seung-Hae thinks in annoyance, He's draining my energy." Yujin announces he is leaving, "About to start this thing I've been prepping for a while." He holds up a red phone, then a familiar yellow flyer. "Oh, gotta give one to Detective Kim Seung-Hae too." Yujin shoves a flyer into the detective's hands. "Please spread the word around," he says earnestly. In the background, the officer sighs as he finally reads the captured criminal his rights. "Well, I'll be off then, Tilde." Yujin waves goodbye with a flourish. The detective, holding the yellow flyer, politely responds, "Take care going back, sir." The detective looks down at the flyer, his polite expression instantly replaced with shock. The flyer is for Yujin Academy of Magic. He thinks in disbelief, This man, does he truly not understand his own predicament? As Yujin walks away humming, the police officer looks on, completely baffled. He's really gonna do this. The scene shifts to a bright, futuristic city. A caption sets the time. 30 years after the founding declaration of the Mage faction led by Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok, magic became an indispensable part of nearly every industry, from food, clothing, and shelter to medicine, culture, and public safety. But mages are still in short supply. We see glimpses of magic integrated into everyday life, like weather control announcements. On a massive screen on the side of a skyscraper, an advertisement plays to the crowds below. A well-dressed figure announces, "We need your help." The ad continues with a confident promise. "Through systematic training and our unique expertise, we'll draw out your magical talents." The crowd below watches, mesmerized. The speaker in the ad is revealed to be Choi Yi-seok, a man with green hair and a confident smile. He extends a hand to the audience, inviting them to become mages who brighten the world. Choi Yi-seok and the authorities in magic education await you. The ad promotes the prestigious Prime Mage Academy. But while they broadcast to the masses, Yujin is on a street corner beginning his own personal mission. With a handmade sign for his own Yujin's Magic Academy, he eagerly hands out flyers, offering practical magic for exams, jobs, and startups at affordable prices. This is his first step to fulfilling his promise. A close-up on Yujin's unnerving smile as his internal monologue begins. "I thought about it a lot." He remembers the pinky promise he made with his master all those years ago. "Even if I can't be with master, to keep the promise I made with you, what should I do?" He recalls his master's words about the world's lingering problems, thinking, there are still so many problems that need magic, as an image of a corrupt deal flashes in his mind. But too many people learn it for extortion and hurting others instead of making the world better, he laments, picturing a destructive rogue mage. He reflects on his own vigilante actions, standing over a pile of defeated foes. "Just smashing those situations as I saw them was just a stopgap that didn't solve the root issues anyway." Back in the present, Yujin sits on a park bench, sipping a drink and pondering his purpose. There has to be something. What could it be? As the Grand Mage's disciple, his eyes narrow in concentration as he searches for an answer. Something to contribute to the world with the biggest possible impact. His thoughts are interrupted by the cheerful voice of a nearby teacher calling to her students. "Everyone, follow me, Tilda." Her students obediently reply, "Yes, teacher Tilda." The teacher smiles, leading a line of small children on a field trip through the park. "Nice warm weather. Let's take in the pretty scenery around us," she continues, her pleasant expression fixed on her face. One of her students asks, "Teacher, why aren't we going?" The teacher's smile freezes as she spots Yujin's unsettling figure on the bench. She quickly urges her class forward. "Don't look around, eyes front, keep walking." Watching the teacher and her students gives Yujin a sudden epiphany. "Found it," he thinks. "The way to increase mages with proper knowledge and good righteous character who will devote themselves to the world." His grand idea involves approaching a mother on the street. "Take a look before you go. Ma'am Tilda, does your child dream of becoming a mage? Did you know learning magic in adolescence boosts creativity and focus, along with emotional growth and proper character development? I can just raise them myself," he concludes triumphantly in his mind. In reality, the woman he approaches screams, sorry," and flees in terror, leaving Yujin standing alone. Yujin scratches his head, trying to rationalize the failure. Of course, child-rearing decisions need care. He then gets back to the more immediate problem. More importantly, he realizes he hasn't handed out a single flyer yet. Nobody's coming this way. He looks around, oblivious to the fact that the crowd is actively avoiding him, whispering to each other to not make eye contact and suggesting they call the cops. Yujin simply concludes, "Everyone's so busy these days, walking fast, hard to even approach." This leads him to a new line of thought, a way to grab people's attention. He looks out at the street with a determined expression, a new, terrible idea forming in his mind. A bizarre gurgling and groaning sound cuts through the city noise. Two passers-by are startled. "What's that noise?" one asks. His friend urgently replies, Hey, don't look over there." Too late, they stare in horror as Yujin's body begins to twist and contort unnaturally, his limbs stretching out. "Fook, my God," one of them utters in disbelief. Yujin's face stretches into a horrifying grin as his body continues to warp and grow. He thinks to himself, bigger, even bigger and longer. He transforms into a towering, multi-tentacled monster made of writhing shadows, looking like a nightmarish version of a wacky inflatable tube man. "So I can hand out tons of flyers, perfect," he thinks, pleased with his new form. Last, a little decoration on the flyers. His grotesque hand glows with magic as he enchants the stack of papers. This should do it. His shadowy tentacles reach into the crowd, grabbing everyone's attention. "Everyone tilde," he calls out in a disturbingly friendly voice. The horrifying spectacle is complete. Towering over the screaming crowd, the creature that was once Yujin unleashes his chaotic marketing storm as enchanted flyers descend upon the terrified citizens. "I'll teach you magic tilde," he bellows joyfully. "Let's become great mages and contribute to the world together." As part of his promotional stunt, Yujin gets uncomfortably close to a civilian, his face contorting as he shouts, "From HOBBIES 2 majors." Affordable, the poor man can only let out a terrified shriek. Completely misinterpreting the screams of terror around him, Yujin is ecstatic. "Why'd it take me so long to think of this?" he wonders. Flashy attention-grabbing entertainment, it's marketing basics. A flashback shows a young Yujin with his master at an amusement park, watching a clown make balloon animals. Yujin's monologue explains his bizarre inspiration. "That tall clown at the amusement park master took me to as a kid. It stuck with me. What a fun experience." His monologue continues over a shot of his monstrous form terrorizing people. Making happy, memorable moments for people with magic, that's one way to use it. Suddenly, his thoughts are interrupted as someone in the crowd points and shouts, "TH, that's him." The person continues shouting, identifying Yujin as the one who murders both mages and non-mages indiscriminately. "Psycho serial killer, Cannibal May." At the same time, a massive blast of fire magic is launched directly at Yujin, who questions, "Serial killer." The fiery blast engulfs Yujin's monstrous form in a huge explosion. An innocent bystander is blown off his feet by the force of the explosion, screaming as he falls backwards. Before the man can hit the pavement, one of Yujin's shadowy tendrils darts out and catches him safely. The attacker, Choi Yi-Seok, arrives on the scene. "Heard a commotion by the academy, so I came to check," he says, spotting Yujin's form. "Is that the killer monster everyone's talking about?" Choi Yi-Seok strikes a heroic pose, magic swirling around his staff. "Right in front of a place training future mages. This isn't a place for filth like you to cause trouble," he declares loftily. The crowd, recognizing the director of the prestigious Prime Academy, is immediately impressed. "Prime Academy Director Choi Yi-Seok here," one exclaims. "Don't worry, veteran combat mage on the scene," another shouts. Yi-Seok smirks, soaking in the adoration from the crowd. People are already vowing to send their kids to his academy, he thinks to himself. Perfect timing for promo. Looking at the dissipating smoke, Yi-Seok pats his hair, slightly disappointed. "Should've made it last longer, though. Didn't expect a basic blast spell to blow its head clean off." He muses about using flashier magic for better visuals next time, but his thoughts are cut short as he notices the smoke clearing, revealing a figure still standing. Yujin, now back in his regular, unsettling form, stands completely unharmed. He lectures Yi-Seok. "Firing dangerous magic out of nowhere in the middle of the city, lucky it hit me instead." Yi-Seok stumbles back in utter disbelief. "No way," he shouts. He scrambles to cast another spell, his face contorted with shock and confusion. "I clearly saw its skull shatter," he thinks frantically. Before he can react, Yujin's elongated hand clamps over his mouth. "How is it still standing so defiantly?" Yi-Seok thinks, terrified. Yujin speaks, his voice calm. "You're the one, right?" Yujin's other hand transforms into a monstrous, shadowy mouth that bites down on Yi-Seok's staff. "The serial killer who butchers innocence with magic," Yi-Seok screams, muffled by Yujin's hand. Yujin continues, "Was on the fence since your face was uglier than the rumors." Yujin begins his lecture. "When people screamed in shock and ran away in terror, screaming that a serial killer had appeared, I was certain." He mocks Yi-Seok, throwing his own words back at him. "You said it yourself, you crazy monster. But the biggest and most unforgivable reason is this," Yujin continues, his tone deadly serious. "No sane person would ever blow up someone's head with magic out of nowhere." Getting face to face with the horrified Yi-Seok, Yujin's own face contorts into a terrifying visage. Only a true murderer could do something that horrific to an innocent person. No one with a normal conscience would even think of using magic that way. Yi-Seok struggles as shadowy tendrils envelop his head. Yujin's tirade continues. "To study magic only to use it for that kind of brutality, it's beyond redemption. You'll pay when you wake up. Reflect and find a way to atone," Yujin concludes, as the shadows completely engulf Choi Yi-Seok, knocking him unconscious. "Reflect and find a way to atone," Yujin concludes, as the shadows completely engulf Choi Yi-Seok, leaving him neutralized and unconscious on the pavement. As Yujin walks away from the scene, leaving the unconscious Choi Yi-Seok on the ground, he thinks, "Time to finish promo." The crowd is left in stunned silence, with one onlooker muttering, "Whoa, creepy as hell." Watching Yujin leave are two of Jeong Ain's subordinates. "Walking the streets bold as brass in broad daylight, world's gone mad," one says. His partner replies, "Magic disguise, probably. No way that's its real face. The male subordinate brings up a rumor. Rumor it was Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's disciple, if that's true. But the female subordinate cuts him off, annoyed. Just ask him directly. She stops him from approaching Yujin, reminding him of their boss. Looks like you're wrapping up work, she says, gesturing back towards Jeong Ain. Forgot who we work under? She scolds him. Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's own daughter and disciple is right here. In the background, Jeong Ain is shown single-handedly taking down a group of rogue mages with ease. Her subordinate rushes over, holding up a phone with a picture of Yujin's monstrous form. Chief Tilda, check this out, she exclaims. Jeong Ain looks at the picture, then down at one of the criminals she just defeated. She asks her subordinate, you know this freak in the pic? The subordinate explains, well, rumor has it this one's Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's disciple. Her partner facepalms, thinking, gonna get skinned for asking dumb shit again. Jeong Ain stares at a different photo on the phone, this one of Yujin's strangely smiling human face. Even if the Grand Mage has tons of disciples, some unheard-of mage impersonating one. Her voice trails off as recognition dawns. Yujin. Her subordinates are shocked by her reaction. Gasp, you know him? One whispers. The other internally panics. Think before you ask, you knew it. Piss her off. Chief, you're not mad, right? The male subordinate asks nervously. In response, Jeong Ain's magic surges and she crushes his phone in her hand. My phone! He screams as it shatters into pieces. The subordinate bows repeatedly, apologizing profusely. Chief, I really MESSEDUP? But Jeong Ain is lost in thought. No doubt, even after a decade plus, I can tell. A memory surfaces, a young Jeong Ain standing beside her father who is kneeling and speaking to another child. Her thought continues. I could never forget that face. Back in the present, she walks forward with a new, steely determination. Finally, she thinks, finally, my chance to prove myself to father. A close-up on her sharp, green eye reveals her ambition. The best among father's disciples, prove I'm Jeong Ain, daughter of Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok. Her gaze is fixed on an image of Yujin, her target now clear. Yujin, you'll be the proof. The scene shifts back to Yujin and a dazed Choi Yi-Seok. Yujin gently pats his head, sighing. Hugh, this is... Yi-Seok groans in pain. Sorry for the misunderstanding, Yujin says, oblivious to the terror he caused. Didn't expect you to be the academy director. The battered and bruised Yi-Seok just wants him gone. Fine, just get lost. I want to rest, so go home. Yujin continues to lecture him, wagging a finger. Even if I irritated you promoting in front of your academy, you don't just blast people with magic. Could have talked it out. Yi-Seok thinks exasperatedly. If you looked like someone words would work on, sure. Detective Kim Seung-Hai arrives, trying to de-escalate the situation. Mr. Yujin, leave the killer stuff to the police and focus on your academy. With a strained smile, the detective continues trying to usher Yujin away. We'll call if we need help. Yujin agrees immediately. Got it. Guess I'll finish promoting elsewhere. He waves goodbye as the detective gives a desperate thumbs up. Yes, go for it. Yujin teach fighting. The detective and his partner wave Yujin off. Once he's gone, the detective mutters to himself. Geez, not some stray by the riverside. Why worry so much? As he walks away, Yujin comes up with his next terrible marketing idea. All right, next, try in front of an elementary school. The two officers who overhear this are struck with horror. Yujin adds, Yujin teach, sounds nice. The scene opens with a flashback to a younger Jeong Ain, her eyes wide with excitement. She holds a swirling mass of pink energy in her hands, a power so unique she muses. I'm not even sure you could call it magic. With a final look of concentration, she exclaims, got it. She excitedly turns to her father, Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok, shouting, Dad, look at this. From behind, her father calmly replies, yeah, Dad saw it. In the background, two researchers in a lab look on. Jeong Ui-Hyeok gently pats his daughter's head, reassuring her. Yeah, Dad saw it, he repeats, then adds warmly, of course you can, you're my daughter. His expression shifts, a knowing, almost sinister smile crossing his face as he looks down at her. Remember this, Ain, he advises. Being special isn't about being satisfied just because you have something. It only truly shines when you use that gift for something worthy of it. As his hand rests on her head, Jeong Ain looks up with determination, a spark of light reflecting in her innocent eyes. Her father's voice continues, you have to become someone special, someone who matches the special talent I gave you. Beaming with pride and determination, Jeong Ain clenches her fists. Of course, I'm your daughter after all, she declares happily. I have to become an archmage like you, right? Her excitement bubbles over as she suddenly remembers someone else. Oh, right. Where's Uncle Yujin? She asks, turning back to her father. I want to brag to him right away. The atmosphere instantly cools. Her father's voice is stern as he simply says her name, Ain. She looks up, her smile fading into confusion as he begins to explain. Uncle Yujin is. The scene transitions from the past to the present day. An older, more severe-looking Jeong Ain stands with a stoic expression, her father's words echoing in her memory. A complete lunatic. In what appears to be a briefing room, a woman with green hair recounts a horrifying encounter. He turns people into mush with some unknown kind of magic, she says, her voice strained. I still can't get that inhuman, creepy face out of my head. A man who appears to be director Choi Yi-seok sits with an ice pack pressed to his temple, looking deeply troubled. He asks in disbelief, is that monster really a former disciple of Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok? Jeong Ain, sitting coolly to the side, gives a cynical reply. If you count a war orphan you took in out of pity and raised as a disciple, then yes. She then cuts to the chase. Anyway, you're saying you still don't understand what kind of magic Yujin uses. A man with a ponytail gestures emphatically, trying to save face. If I hadn't let my guard down, I wouldn't have gone down that easily, he insists. Too many rumors are already out there to just let this go. So this time I came prepared, he continues, pointing to a group of imposing figures behind him. I gathered the best graduates from our academy's combat track, no matter what bizarre magic he pulls as long as we work with you. But Jeong Ain cuts him off coldly. I think you're mistaken. Jeong Ain stands and turns her back on the group, dismissing them entirely. I came here to get information on Yujin, not to hear such a long story about how you lost. A flustered director Choi Yi-seok calls out after her. Wait just a moment. As Jeong Ain strides towards the door, director Choi Yi-seok tries to speak with her. I know you're busy, so there's no need to see me out. She interrupts him. No, it's just that. Before simply saying, excuse me, and continuing on her way. As Jeong Ain walks past the graduates, one of the men speaks up, challenging her directly. Isn't it pretty rude to visit someone's business and act like this? He asks with a confrontational tone. The man continues to lecture her as her two companions look on. If you can't help, fine, but this attitude is uncalled for. Please apologize properly to Director Choi Yi-seok and cooperate. Jeong Ain begins to reply with weary patience. As I've said many times, cooperation is. But she's interrupted by one of the graduates who tells his colleague, see her out. Another chimes in arrogantly, yeah, we're enough on our own. The group of graduates now stands blocking Jeong Ain's exit. The man with the ponytail scoffs. What good is it to set a place at the table when she clearly doesn't want to eat? Seeing the situation escalating, Director Choi Yi-seok shouts, guys, that's enough. Let her go. The men ignore their director and start mocking Jeong Ain as she stands with her back to them. One mutters, she's the Archmage's daughter, not the Archmage herself. Another adds, there's nothing to gain from bringing in someone that stuck up. A third sneers, maybe Dad taught her magic, but he sure didn't teach her manners. A hand reaches for a door handle, and the door begins to creak open. Someone calls out his name, Director Choi Yi-seok. The director looks up, his face pale and beaded with sweat, a look of pure dread in his eyes. The door opens to reveal a scene of utter devastation. The entire group of elite graduates lies defeated on the floor. Jeong Ain and her companions stand calmly in the doorway, and one of them remarks coolly, before magic, you should teach them basic manners. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, the source of all this chaos is completely oblivious. The scene changes to a building with a SDARDUS sign, setting the stage for where we find him next. The scene shifts to a cafe, where Yujin is sitting with his laptop, trying and failing to suppress his laughter as he watches a video. His snickering starts to annoy a nearby couple. The man fumes. Wow, I've held my tongue long enough. This is really getting on my nerves. The woman tries to calm him down, pleading, Opa, just let it go. The man gets up and confronts Yujin. Mister, do you own this cafe or something? Could you keep it down? He trails off as Yujin turns, revealing his terrifying, stitched-up face while watching a cute dog video on his laptop. Yujin, looking more normal but still unsettling, gives a confusing apology. Oh, I'm so sorry. We must have been loud. The terrified couple can only stare as he adds, not at all, I mistook you for someone I know. Please enjoy the rest of it. As the shaken couple looks on, Yujin turns back to his laptop, scrolling through a rabbit hole of recommended videos. He thinks to himself, these algorithms are scary. How much procrastinating did I do while looking for materials? He reflects on his cluelessness about marketing, remembering advice to use social media instead of flyers. I had no plan at all, so I was totally lost on where to start, he muses. I was trying to look up social media marketing like Detective Kim told me to. Yujin tries to get back on track, thinking, okay, this time I'll really stay focused and look up resources. But something on his screen immediately distracts him. Huh. He leans closer to the screen, intrigued. Huh, this is... Just then, a hand lands firmly on his shoulder. Startled, Yujin jumps up, flailing in panic as he sees Ju Yunhai beside him. No, no, he exclaims. I was just going to watch this one thing and then really get to work. Holy, you scared me. Ju Yun-Hai stumbles back and falls to the floor from the shock of his reaction. Her partner, Go Hui-myung, rushes to her side as she thinks, wow, that face is insane. Yujin apologizes while she weakly replies, I'm okay. Go Hui-myung calmly addresses the strange man. You're Yujin, right? Yujin peeks from the side, confirming with a slight head tilt. Yes, that's me. While helping Ju Yun-Hai up, Go Hui-myung extends a polite invitation. There's someone who really wants to meet you. Would you mind coming with us for a moment? As they walk through the city, Yujin quietly complies. Meanwhile, Go Hui-myung speaks cautiously on the phone. We're in the middle of the city, so please don't do anything suspicious. Ah, yes. I'll grab a taxi and call you back soon. Yujin's curiosity gets the better of him. I'm curious who it is. Could you at least give me a hint? Ju Yun-Hai replies playfully. I think they want you to be really surprised, before mentally scolding herself for speaking out of turn. Yujin hums thoughtfully. Go Hui-myung watches him, thinking to himself with suspicion. Anyway, what kind of person looks like that? Go Hui-myung grows more tense as they walk, sensing an unnerving magical aura from Yujin. He thinks, it's not just the way he looks, the whole vibe he gives off puts everyone on edge. Who knows when he'll show his true colors? If he does anything suspicious, we'll have to act right away. A bead of sweat runs down Go Hui-myung's face as the pressure mounts. I thought this would just be a simple escort job, he thinks anxiously. I didn't expect it to feel this tense and suffocating. The scene cuts back to the briefing room from before. Jeong Ain's voice is heard over a cityscape shot, saying one word, Yujin. Jeong Ain is debriefing her two subordinates, Go Hui-myung and Ju Yun-Hai, before they leave to find Yujin. She reads from his file, age 34. Around age 4, he was a war orphan living alone when my father took him in and raised him to become a mage. She continues, he worked as a lead researcher at the Magic Technology Research Foundation, then went missing about 14 years ago. Hui-myung realizes the rumors were true, while Yun-Hai is shocked looking at a childhood photo of Yujin. Ju Yun-Hai shows the photo to her partner, exclaiming, wow, damn! How did such a cute kid turn into something that terrifying? Jeong Ain ignores their chatter and gives her orders. While you two are bringing Yujin here, I'll finish my preparations. Go Hui-myung hesitantly asks, but could you tell us exactly what you plan to do once you meet him? Jeong Ain remains silent, lost in thought. Jeong Ain opens a small, ornate box, her expression turning somber. On the day Yujin disappeared, father said this, she recalls. He said Yujin had disappointed him. A close-up on her eye reflects her steely resolve as she recalls her father's disappointment. The disciple who always stayed by his side and had his favor turned his back on him and vanished, she thinks. And now, after all these years, he suddenly shows up again. She clenches her fist around the object from the box, her purpose hardening into a vow. I'm going to find out, she resolves, whether he has any intention of threatening or disgracing Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok. Her thought continues as she clenches her fist, crushing the object within it to dust. And if there's even the slightest chance he does. Her subordinates, Go Hui-myung and Ju Yun-Hai, watch in stunned silence. Jeong Ain closes the box and gives her final order. Once you bring him here, I'll handle everything myself, so please just focus on locating him and transporting him to me. The scene cuts back to the present, with Ju Yun-Hai walking nervously behind Yujin. She thinks to herself, what's with this guy? Yujin's shadowy form seems to glare at her, making her increasingly uneasy. Why has he been glaring at me like that this whole time? She wonders. It's so creepy. I can barely breathe. She tries to rationalize her fear, thinking, not that he'd do anything stupid out in the open like this. Suddenly, Yujin's grinning face is right beside her ear as he chirps. Got it, Tilda, causing her to freeze in terror. Yujin leans in, his eyes wide and manic. So you work with Ain, right? He asks. Ju Yun-Hai is too shocked to even scream. His hand morphs into a long, skeletal appendage, holding out a phone as he says, You're in this video here. As he speaks, Ju Yun-Hai's magic begins to encase his arm in sharp ice. Deciding to attack, Ju Yun-Hai draws her weapon and shouts, Change of plans. Let's just subdue him and drag him in. Her partner, Go Hui-myung, immediately powers up a magical spell in his fist, thinking with grim acceptance, knew it would end up like this. Go Hui-myung unleashes a powerful kick, slamming Yujin into the pavement with enough force to shatter it. Yujin lies motionless on the ground, his head obscured by a cloud of smoke. The agents look on, with one of them muttering, We're in trouble now. Go Hui-myung berates his partner. Change of plans, seriously. The director told us to just bring him in and we blew it. Ju Yun-Hai nervously looks at the body and asks, He's not dead, is he? Hui-myung continues, And what possessed you to cut off his arm like that? Yun-Hai, remembering the terrifying moment, yells back defensively, Hey, you stand in front of him then? I thought I was going to lose my mind. She tries to explain her panic. He was staring at me from behind all creepy and reaching his hand out, so I just... She trails off as they both notice the severed arm on the ground dissolving into a black, swirling ooze. To their shock, Yujin sits up, completely unharmed. "I apologize for startling you earlier, it wasn't intentional," he says politely. "But no matter how upset you were, don't you think this is a bit too much of a way to blow off steam?" The scene flashes back to the briefing room. Jeong Ain poses a question to her agents. "Anyway, let's say, if Yujin attacks us first, what do you think is the best way to deal with it?" Ju Yunhai expresses her doubt. "There are rumors he's already killed quite a few mages, and he's a former disciple of the Archmage, so I'm not sure people at our level can handle him." Jeong Ain reassures her with a confident smile. "Don't worry about that. Even if his magic talent was outstanding, Yujin was still just a researcher." She praises her subordinate. "Mr. Go Hyumyong, you're the top-class bodyguard who successfully protected high-ranking executives from countless assassination attempts." Ain then turns to her other agent. "And Ms. Ju Yunhai, you're the veteran mercenary who fought through terrorist, mage-infested war zones on your own." She looks at them both, her trust clear. "You're nothing like that poser Choi Isiok. Trust my judgment for choosing you as my partners." She then gives her final directive. "If anything happens, respond while minimizing damage. And contact me immediately," Ain finishes. At that exact moment, a terrified scream, "KYAH," erupts from her communication device, causing her to look up in alarm. Back on the street, Go Hyumyong is caught in Yujin's grotesque magic, his body being twisted like a ragdoll. "Gross, this feels awful. Stop wriggling already, seriously," he screams in agony. "My body feels so weird. What the hell is this?" Yujin looms over his writhing victim with a wide, innocent, and terrifying smile. He lets out a small, simple sound. Ah! Suddenly a portal rips open and Jeong Ain flies through it, delivering a powerful kick that sends Yujin flying. As he is hit, he cries out her name. "Ain." Jeong Ain lands and immediately checks on her subordinates. "Look at you. Are you sure you're okay?" she asks, concerned. Ju Yunhai looks up with relief but quickly shouts a warning, Director, watch out." Yunhai quickly debriefs her, explaining Yujin's terrifying power. "Whatever magic this is, no matter how much we hit it, it keeps regenerating, and it cuts through our defensive magic like it's nothing." She continues her frantic warning, "Most of all, if he touches you, it's over." In the background, Yujin is shown crawling bizarrely on all fours. "That's right," Yunhai finishes. "He's a complete monster." The scene flashes back to the moments before, as the crowd on the street recognized the newcomer. "Whoa, it's Jeong Ain," one person says, while another asks, "Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's daughter?" Jeong Ain prepares her spell, ignoring them as she says, "For now." Jeong Ain unleashes a blast of magical energy, not as an attack, but as a setup for her next move. "Let's change locations." In an instant, she teleports herself, her two agents, and a surprised Yujin away from the public eye. The crowd below can only watch as a streak of fiery light tears across the sky, marking their sudden departure. The streak of light arcs over the city, before descending into a desolate, ruined urban landscape. With a crash, the four of them land amidst the rubble, scattered across the destroyed terrain. Ju Yunhai looks at the new, isolated battlefield in awe. "My God," she thinks, looking over at Yujin, "I wasn't seeing things after all." Yujin gets to his feet, a wide, friendly smile on his face as he recognizes the woman who kicked him. "Ain," he exclaims happily, "look at you, you've grown so much." He beams, spreading his hands wide. "How long has it been, Tilda? Let's see." "It's been 14 years, so you're 22 now. It's me, Uncle Yujin. Do you remember me?" He gestures to her hat. "That hat your teacher know, your dad gave it to you, right? So you really became a mage in the end." He reminisces fondly. "What did Uncle tell Ain can do it?" But Jeong Ain cuts through his nostalgia coldly. "Why did you do this to the people I sent?" Yujin scratches his head with a sheepish look. "Oh, that. When I first saw them, Uncle made a tiny mistake, and I guess they didn't like it because they started throwing lethal spells at me." He continues his absurdly casual explanation. "I was worried people around us would get caught up in it, so I just tied them up until they calmed down." Tilda. Jeong Ain glares back, statting flatly. "I don't really care about the details." Her eyes narrow, her hand moving to the glowing pendant on her chest. "I was wondering what reason I should come up with to fight you." A torrent of blue magical energy begins to surge around her as she continues. "But since you're already broken, I guess I don't need one." She stands fully powered up, a formidable magical staff materializing in her grasp. Seeing her partner still incapacitated, Ju Yunhai glares at Yujin with renewed anger. "How dare you do this to my staff?" Yujin watches Jeong Ain's transformation with a look of mild, innocent curiosity, seemingly unfazed by the immense power gathering before him. Jeong Ain declares her judgment upon him. "You're a traitor who abandoned my father, and after all the trouble you've caused, hiding behind the name disciple of the Archmage. That's why you have to fall to me." She begins to layer multiple spells, activating dual casting to simultaneously manifest Bladed Wind Bloom, Iron Armor Skin, Rebound Cloak, a telekinetic exoskeleton, and magic assist arms. Now fully equipped with her magical constructs, surrounded by a maelstrom of power, she roars, "This is proof that I, not you, have taken the place at my father's side." And, she says, brandishing her new weapon and settling into a combat stance. Planting her foot, a swirl of green energy erupts as she prepares to launch herself forward. Catapulting through the air, she brings the full weight of her magical weapon down on Yujin, her final words cutting through the air just before impact. "Don't talk to me like we're close." In the mind of Prime Academy director Choi Yi-Seok, a single thought burns with fury as he sees his own image on a large city screen. "I can't just let this go." In the wreckage of the academy, an injured mage on crutches shouts in anger, pointing at the dejected director Choi. "This is an insult to you, director, and to our whole academy," he exclaims, while other members lie defeated on the ground. The angry mage continues, "I don't care if she's the Archmage's kid, we have to show that arrogant brat her place." But director Choi Yi-Seok, sitting amidst the destruction, calmly advises, "I get that you're upset, but let it go." Director Choi elaborates with a grim expression. "She's the blood of the world's greatest mage, Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok. You think she only inherited his money?" He then begins to recall a memory, a chilling experience that taught him the true extent of her power. "I once ended up on the same team as her by chance, on a mission to wipe out a mage crime syndicate." The memory vividly returns, the overwhelming display of magic against a horde of enemies. Choi Yi-Seok thinks, "That was the first time in my life I felt my magic was pathetic. The gap between us was so big, it was hard to believe we were both mages." In his flashback, the immensely powerful Jeong Ain stands amidst the chaos she created, looking down on her foes. Choi Yi-Seok recalls, "I stayed quiet even after being treated like I was nothing." His face sweats with the memory of that fear as he continues his thought. "Even if every combat mage in our academy, including me, charged her." The thought concludes with an image of utter destruction, a building being obliterated by magic. "I can't imagine us so much as scratching a single hair on her head." Back in the present, director Choi lies buried in rubble. His subordinate, Ju Yun-hai, looks down at him with concern as he murmurs, "Today's really rough." The scene flashes to Jeong Ain unleashing a devastating magical assault against a monstrous creature. Director Choi's voiceover concludes, "Her magic is basically a natural disaster. The idea of that monster losing is just impossible." The creature, a shadowy being who is actually Yujin, observes the swirling magic around him. A strange sensation makes him think, that's strange." He looks at Jeong Ain's face, contorted with rage, and wonders to himself, why is she so angry? In his monstrous form, Yujin calls out to her with a wide, unsettling grin, trying to sound caring. Ain Tilda did something bad happen. Yujin internally muses that the Ain he knows isn't someone to throw a fit over a bad mood. But his thoughts are cut short as Ain furiously unleashes a bolt of energy at him, screaming, "Shut up." Jeong Ain glares at him with contempt, her eyes burning with fury. "Uncle, from a traitor like you," she spits. Her accusation hangs in the air, stunning Yujin. "You betrayed father and disappeared without a word," she seethes, then shamelessly showed up again and dragged the named disciple of the Archmage through the mud. Power surges around Ain as she prepares another massive attack. She declares, "So as father's true disciple, I'm just punishing you, that's all." Yujin's monstrous face twists in genuine confusion. The word echoes in his mind, completely catching him off guard. Betrayal. As another magical explosion erupts, Yujin is lost in thought, trying to understand her rage. "Did I do something to upset Ain?" Enough to make her fling attack spells at me the moment we meet after all these years. Suddenly a memory surfaces and Yujin thinks he understands. The scene flashes back to a much younger, chibi-styled Ain looking sad. Yujin's voice says, "I get it. You still can't use magic." The flashback continues. A younger, skeletal-looking Yujin asks the small Ain, "What did what did your dad say?" Ain looks down sadly. "He told me to wait a little longer, but all the other kids with talent already started learning basic magic when they were younger than me." Tears well up in young Ain's eyes as she looks at Yujin desperately. "Uncle, what do I do? If I really can't be a mage, Dad will." Yujin quickly cuts her off, calling her name Ain. Yujin looks at her with sincere kindness, comforting her. "Don't worry, Tilda, you're the daughter that the greatest archmage in the world loves more than anyone." He places a reassuring hand on her head, a warm smile on his ghastly face as he makes a promise. "Your dad and I will figure something out and turn you into a mage as amazing as he is." Continuing his promise, Yujin extends his pinky finger to the teary-eyed young Ain. "And when you can finally use magic, you and I will study magic together. I'll train you so well that even your dad will be blown away, okay?" Wiping away a tear, Jeong Ain looks at him with renewed hope, a moment of silent understanding passing between them. She softly says, "Okay." They seal their pact with a pinky swear. "Promise," she exclaims, her hope restored. The memory fades as Yujin's internal monologue is heard, his arm dissolving into blackness. "Ain, I'm sorry." In a flashback to his own demise, Yujin is defeated and collapses. He thinks, "I'm sorry I couldn't keep that promise." As a figure resembling Ain stands over him, calling him a monster. In his final moments from that past battle, his body regenerating unnaturally, Yujin thinks, "I've thrown every kind of magic I can at him, and not a single skill works. Does that thing even die? I'm going to die without getting to see Ain become a mage." But in the present, seeing Ain's attack, a twisted grin spreads across Yujin's monstrous face. A completely wrong idea dawns on him. Now I get it. The scene cuts back to the present, where Ain is panting heavily, clutching her chest. She curses under her breath, "Damn it." She tries to compose herself, thinking, "I panicked and burned through too much mana." Calm down. Whatever that regeneration magic is, Yujin is overconfident in it. As Yujin's shadowy form writhes and reforms, Ain strategizes. He looks relaxed and isn't reacting now, but unless you're an archmage, magic has limits. Ain begins to formulate a new plan. And there are plenty of spells that can restrain some region mage. As she prepares a new spell to slow his heartbeat, Yujin, now back in his humanoid form, suddenly calls out her name. Yujin beams at her, holding out a gift box overflowing with coins. "I'm really sorry it took me this long to realize," he exclaims. Ain looks at him, baffled. "Uncle was so happy to see you I completely forgot." He points at her with a wide, manic grin. "Ain, Yao Tilda, you wanted to show off all the magic you've worked so hard on while I was gone, didn't you, Tilda?" Ain stands frozen, her counterspell still glowing in her hand, utterly speechless at his complete misreading of the situation. Yujin continues to ramble enthusiastically. "You wanted to show Uncle how skilled and amazing you've become all on your own, right? Honestly, seeing you handle such a wide range of spells like this, I was shocked imagining how much you must have practiced to get here." With his back to her, Yujin says with genuine but misplaced pride, "You must have worked really hard, Ain. Your dad must be so proud of you." His words trigger another memory for Ain. Her father, Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok, pats her head, saying, "Great job, Ain." The memory continues, her father holding up her excellent report card. "That's my girl. Only a year after you learned magic, you got into magic school as the top new student. That's incredible." A young, determined Ain puffs up her chest. "If I'm going to be the best mage out of all your disciples, this much is the bare minimum, and you still have to teach me a lot more." Her father replies, "Of course, Ain, keep working hard." But his next words would become the source of her deepest pain. "And I'll be waiting for the day you become a disciple I can be as proud of as Yujin." Ain's hopeful expression freezes. Those words echo in her mind, "As proud of as Yujin." The narration shifts to her inner thoughts, showing her studying tirelessly. "I never once let magic out of my mind as I studied." A montage of her rigorous training begins, showing her pushing her magical abilities to their absolute limit. The montage continues, showing her fighting powerful monsters, hunting her skills in real combat. "I trained on the brink of death and built up my achievements." In her memories, Ain recalls how her father always praised her relentless efforts and tangible results. Yet, despite all her achievements, there was one title he never bestowed upon her: the coveted role of his most proud disciple. The most painful realization was that even after Yujin disappeared, the very uncle who had supposedly let father down and left, he somehow remained closest to her father's heart, forever holding the title of most proud disciple. Back in the present, Yujin gives two enthusiastic thumbs up, a wide grin plastered on his face. His inner monologue reveals his flawed logic. "And you actively and specifically praise your students' effort and growth." Yujin proudly pats himself on the arm, still lecturing in his mind. "Student mental care methods I studied to run an academy." He looks at Ain's shaking hand and misinterprets it as a positive sign. "See, you really can learn from anything." He's confident, thinking, with this much, Ain's heart should start to soften. But his praise has the opposite effect. Consumed by the memory of her father's words, Ain crushes the magic in her hand as the thought echoes. "Everything I've built up." Yujin looks on, utterly confused by her reaction, letting out a questioning sound. The magic in Ain's hand dissipates as her internal monologue continues, filled with rage and hurt. "All my work and achievements." Her subordinate Ju Yunhai looks on in horror at Director Choi's terrified face. Ain's thoughts continue. "If you stuffed all that into some pill bottle." Ain raises her staff, her voice dripping with venom, only to write it off. Her eyes glow with fury as she charges a new, more powerful spell. Gritting her teeth, she unleashes the spell at Yujin, screaming the end of her thought aloud. As a kid showing off. Having completely lost her composure, Ain says, "Fine, since you're watching anyway." Yujin simply looks on, intrigued. She summons an immense ball of destructive energy above her. Why don't you try taking this one too, with that oh-so-great regeneration magic of yours? In her mind, she resolves, if this is what it takes to shake off this inferiority complex, so be it. Ju Yun-hai screams in terror, trying to hold back the equally terrified Director Choi. KYH. Director, calm down. If you use that here, we're all dead. Yujin stares up at the apocalyptic spell, a single thought crossing his mind. Holy. Instead of fear, Yujin's face breaks into a wide, ecstatic grin. Wow. So you finally climbed all the way to the pinnacle of magic, triple casting. As Ain prepares to unleash her ultimate attack, Yujin's voice rings out, filled with genuine but wildly inappropriate admiration. I'm proud of you. How hard did you work to master magic to this level? The massive spell crackles with energy as Yujin's true intention is revealed. I want to help. Facing the cataclysmic spell, Yujin declares, to honor all the effort you've put in, Ain, and help it bear even greater fruit. Ain unleashes her ultimate technique, the triple casting. Just as the spell is about to hit, Yujin's calm voice cuts through the chaos. But you know, Ain Tilda, what you really needed wasn't praise. Suddenly, Yujin's hand appears and stops her, effortlessly halting her ultimate spell. Ain looks on in shock. Yujin, now standing beside her, begins to lecture her. It was advice on the manual control circuit of that triple spell you were about to use. If you tweak the mana distribution just a teeny bit, it'll be way more efficient, don't you think? And the way you wired the circuit doesn't need to be this complicated, Tilda. He continues his unsolicited critique. What you needed was someone to point you in the right direction so you can go even further. In the background, one of the surviving mages thinks, should I be happy he survived, or should I say we're screwed? Yujin leans in, completely oblivious to her mounting rage. Oh, and also, he adds, wanting to give more pointers, Ain's eye twitches. Another thing, also. That's the last straw, Ain snaps, smacking his hand away. There he goes again, she screams. Yujin is taken aback. You still haven't fixed that habit. Yujin asks, why? But Ain cuts him off, her voice filled with years of frustration. See, you still don't get what you did wrong, do you? You're just... She internally finishes the thought. What now? Are you going to say you just wanted to help again? Ain finally lets out all her pent-up frustration. You always nitpick every tiny mistake you spot, anytime, any place. We are literally fighting right now. Can you read the room for once? How can someone go over 10 years without changing at all? She brings up a painful, humiliating memory from her childhood. Even when I baked cookies for Dad's birthday. The flashback shows a young Yujin inspecting her cookies in front of her father, saying, these taste a bit burnt and you used bread flour, didn't you? For cookies like this, you should really use cake flour, not bread flour. In the present, Ain screams, and why the hell were you taste testing them and giving food critic notes? You didn't care at all about how embarrassed I was in front of Dad, did you? She points an accusing finger at him, her voice filled with contempt. Stop meddling and patting yourself on the back after dumping your unnecessary advice on people. You're seriously so freaking annoying, you nerd. After her outburst, Ain tries to catch her breath. In the background, her subordinate Ju Yun-hai whispers, she brought him cookies for his birthday. That's adorable. Haha, so she does know how to swear. Yujin stands silently for a moment, the word echoing in his empty head. Nerd. Suddenly he panics, having a completely bizarre realization. Ah, oh right, let me undo that for you. He seems to think her swearing is a curse he can reverse. Her subordinate, Mr. Go, chokes in disbelief. Ain finally gives up, realizing the futility of her anger. Wow, I really yelled just now. If we keep arguing, I'm the only one who looks crazy. Yujin, walking away, asks if she's cooled off and apologizes. She curtly replies, you don't have to be. Trying to change the subject, Yujin asks cheerfully, Ain Tilda, when did you first start using magic? Your dad and I worried a lot about how to help you use magic, you know, Tilda. Ain gives him a sharp, cold glance. She answers with a single, cutting sentence that leaves Yujin stunned. The day after you left. He can only repeat, ah, Tilda, the day I left. A heavy silence hangs between them. Ain turns her back on Yujin and addresses her subordinates. Mr. Go, whose face had been grotesquely twisted, panics. Gasp. My face, is it? Back to normal. Ju Yun-hai bluntly replies, you've always been ugly then and now, so don't worry. Ain announces, Mr. Go, Ms. Ju, we're done here, so let's go. She walks away but pauses to give Yujin a final warning. And, Uncle Yujin, whatever you've been doing these days, there are a lot of mages out there who are gunning for you. I'm sure you'll manage. She touches her chin, her voice laced with ice. But please act carefully so you don't drag Father's reputation down any further. Ain looks over her shoulder, ready to deliver her final blow. One last thing, there's no need for you to go back to Father now. With Yujin's back turned to her, she says the words meant to sever their ties completely. For both me and Father, there's no longer an empty place waiting for you. That's all, she concludes. Mr. Go asks, but you're leaving this guy here, while Ms. Ju looks on. Suddenly, Ain's body convulses. Uncle, over here? A child's voice seems to echo, but Yujin remains silent. Overcome by mana exhaustion, Ain collapses to the ground. Yujin approaches her fallen form. Tell me where you live, I'll drop you off there. But Ain isn't done. She slaps his hand away and presents her business card. And here, this is my card. She pushes the card into his hand. If anything happens, call this number. I'm giving you this so you don't go running to father. So unless it's really serious, don't contact me. As she speaks, the unstable mana erupts from her body in black, tendril-like streams. The unstable mana, no longer under her control, erupts from her body in black, tendril-like streams. Ain looks down at her own hand, consumed by the dark energy, her voice a small, confused huh. As the unstable mana erupts from Ain's body, Yujin acts instantly. He reaches out and grabs the chaotic energy, absorbing the black tendrils into his own hand as her subordinates scream her name. Director Jeong Ain. The perspective shifts entirely to Yujin's inner world, revealing a deep, hidden turmoil. There's no way, he thinks, his back turned. There's just no way. I prayed it wouldn't be true. His silhouette stands in a stark, white void. I tried so hard to understand. A fragmented memory shows his body being shattered by a powerful red seal, a vision of his own past defeat. He stands alone amid swirling chaos, clutching a strange, pulsating object. I told myself there had to be a reason. In a hazy, dreamlike memory, his silhouette faces another shadowy figure. I promised myself I'd believe that. A vision of his past self appears, handsome and whole, holding a pulsating heart embedded with glowing gems. He thinks of his master, the Archmage. Teacher. The image transitions to his present grotesque form, holding the very same heart, its gems shining brightly. The final memory reveals his ultimate trauma. A tall, faceless figure representing his teacher literally ripping the heart from his chest. Yujin's final thought reveals his own deep-seated feeling of betrayal. How could you take my heart from me? This is something I can never forgive. The scene opens to a tense confrontation. An enraged, white-haired mage named Friedrich Gamora shouts, Jeong Ui-Hyeok? What on earth have you done? From behind, we see his target, Jeong Ui-Hyeok, standing protectively in front of a small child. Jeong Ui-Hyeok, wearing a wide-brimmed hat that covers one eye, looks back calmly. Behind him, a young boy with dark, curly hair who is a child version of Yujin peeks out with wide, fearful eyes. You're going to burst my eardrums, Ui-Hyeok says nonchalantly. You could talk a little quieter, you know. Friedrich points an accusatory finger, his face contorted with fury. He yells, You're teaching magic to those inferior humans? Why do you think we've been hiding for centuries? The scene flashes to a city laid to waste, a visual representation of Friedrich's argument. He continues his tirade. They couldn't even control the primitive knowledge they had and brought about their own destruction like idiots. Friedrich's anger intensifies as he clenches his fist. I agreed with your plan because you said mages should lead humanity, he roars. Not so you could hand a sword to those who don't deserve it. Jeong Ui-Hyeok shields the young Yujin, who buries his face in his coat. Ui-Hyeok sighs, Sigh, you foolish man, get your wording straight. Mages are humans too. Friedrich flinches, his eyes wide with disbelief and rage at Jeong Ui-Hyeok's statement, rendered momentarily speechless. The two mages stand apart as Jeong Ui-Hyeok continues to explain his philosophy. While mages stayed hidden, magic stayed stagnant as well. Making magic public wasn't salvation. It was a path to coexistence. Friedrich's hand trembles with rage. He channels a small, potent circle of red magic at his fingertip, preparing to unleash his power. Jeong Ui-Hyeok turns his head slightly, sensing the shift in power as Friedrich venomously questions his idea. Coexistence. A vision of utter destruction fills the panel, a massive beam of energy tearing through a city. Friedrich's voice echoes, those mayflies whose lives snuff out with a single wave of the hand. The vision continues, showing Friedrich effortlessly unleashing this devastating power. He finishes his question with contempt. You call that coexistence? Jeong Ui-Hyeok calmly addresses the now masked Friedrich. Friedrich, if you don't trust it, then just stay quiet and watch. Ui-Hyeok looks down at the terrified young Yujin and continues his speech. He prophesies that times will change, and one of the mayflies Friedrich despises might become a mage so terrifying that even he, the strongest mage alive, would look like nothing in comparison. But before that happens, Jeong Ui-Hyeok says, as a golden ring of magic begins to form around his wrist, indicating his own readiness for a confrontation. Friedrich can only stare back in stunned silence, his brow furrowed in anger as he processes the defiance. The flashback concludes with Jeong Ui-Hyeok conjuring a brilliant display of magic. He issues a stern warning. A mere mage dared to stand against the Archmage. You know there's a price for that, right? The scene shifts to the present. A young woman with messy, dark hair, Jeong Ain, is asleep, her face nestled in a large coat. Jeong Ain's eyes slowly open as she regains consciousness. Her first thoughts are a mix of realization and concern. So that's how it is. Anyway, about Ain. Suddenly, Ain sits bolt upright, startled. A woman and a man watch from a nearby couch. As Ain thinks about how someone can be so audacious, one of them asks, "Ah, you're awake." Ain looks around the unfamiliar room, bewildered. "Where is this?" she asks, her immediate concern shifting to her friend. "Is Ain okay?" Beside her, a man in a strange white mask looms over her. The masked man, who is the adult Yujin, pops up excitedly, startling Ain. "Yujin's Magic Academy?" he exclaims. The woman on the couch clarifies, "This place is, your uncle's. It's Director Yujin's academy." Still processing the information, Ain holds her large, pointed hat and asks incredulously, "An academy?" Yujin gives a wide, unnerving grin from behind his mask. "Yep, Uncle decided to open a magic academy, Tilda," he says cheerfully. "He's super busy right now getting it ready to open, Tilda. He still has to finish the interior and recruit students." The view shows the modest exterior of the newly established Yujin's Magic Academy. Yujin's voiceover continues, explaining that he still needs to finish the interior and recruit students for his new venture. As Yujin explains he's been trying to do social media promotion for the academy, Ain clutches her chest, confused. "My heart, there's nothing wrong with it," she thinks. "Did he pull it out with that weird magic and put it back in?" Ain turns her glare on her two subordinates, Mr. Go and Ms. Ju. "So you two were sitting here casually chatting with the man who ripped out my heart?" Ms. Ju flails in panic, shouting, "No, that's not what happened." Mr. Go tries to explain calmly. "It's just, Director Yujin here already knew about it." A close-up shot focuses on Yujin's unnerving, masked face as the revelation hangs in the air. Mr. Go clarifies, "About your heart condition, Director." Ain's eyes widen in shock as she processes the statement. "What?" she whispers. Ain asks in disbelief. "So he punched a hole through my chest just to check that." Mr. Go continues to explain. "You used some huge spells today, right, Director?" A flashback panel shows Ain casting a powerful spell. Yujin's voiceover explains, "I think your heart was under strain and that's when it went into shock." Ain listens in stunned silence. Yujin continues his explanation, his back turned. "When you collapsed, he panicked and hauled all of us here on his back. He's the one who rushed you over. Your heart condition is confidential, so we couldn't take you to a normal hospital." Ain puts on her hat, ready to leave. "Sorry for the trouble," she says, trying to maintain her composure. "I shouldn't bother you anymore, I'll get going." Yujin and his subordinates watch silently as Ain makes her way towards the exit. As Ain is about to leave, Yujin calls out to her, stopping her in her tracks. Her subordinates, Mr. Go and Ms. Ju, look on with surprise. Yujin approaches her. "Ain, there's something Uncle needs to tell you." Ain looks back, her expression a mix of suspicion and curiosity. The scene hangs in suspense as Yujin prepares to reveal something important. Before speaking to Ain, Yujin dismisses his team. "Director," Mr. Go starts, but Yujin cuts him off. "Mr. Go, Ms. Ju, you can clock out now." Ain waits silently by the door. Outside, against the evening sky, Ms. Ju remarks, "Our Director Jung really has a strong stomach." As they walk, Ms. Ju continues her thought aloud. Did growing up looking at a face that creepy just break her emotions? Suddenly, her terrible attitude makes a lot more sense. Mr. Go, looking at a piece of paper, asks Ms. Ju, "What have you been staring at all this time? Meeting alone with the man who ripped your heart out while you were alive?" That flyer from his academy. He holds up the flyer for Yujin Magic School. A cartoon version of Yujin invites people to walk the great path of magic with us. Mr. Go is incredulous. Has he lost his mind? He wants to teach students with that face and that horrifying magic. Ms. Ju concedes, still, it was impressive. That regeneration piercing through defensive magic. Learning from him might not be a bad idea. But Mr. Go retorts, "Oh, come on, you know how this works. You think a mage is going to spill the secrets of their bread and butter magic just because you pay them." They speculate on Yujin's intentions. "That's something he wants to tell our director. Isn't it just asking her to promote the academy?" Ms. Ju suggests. Mr. Go agrees. "That's what it sounds like. It's the kind of magic that even the Archmage's own daughter couldn't do anything about, haha." Suddenly, a hand firmly grips Mr. Go's arm, stopping him mid-sentence. Startled, Mr. Go apologizes, thinking he bumped into someone. "Ah, sorry," a voice asks. "What are you doing, seriously?" The man who stopped them looks thoughtful for a moment. "Ah, wait, right, that's it. I've seen this before on YouTube. You're the mages who work with Jeong Ain, the Archmage's daughter, right?" The man is revealed to be Friedrich Gamora, now in casual attire. Mr. Go and Ms. Ju are stunned into an awkward silence by the unexpected recognition. "Yes, that's us, sir," they manage to say, completely unaware of the danger they are in. Friedrich coolly takes off his sunglasses, revealing the face of the dangerous Archmage. He smirks, holding a bag of canned drinks. To Mr. Go's question of where they met, Friedrich replies condescendingly, "Oh dear, I thought young folks these days wouldn't know," before preparing to introduce himself. Friedrich smirks, his eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. "As for me," he says, "I'm like a brother to Ain's father, so I'm basically Ain's uncle." The scene cuts back to Yujin's academy, where Ain sits across from him on the sofa. Having decided to stay for a moment, she asks directly, "What did you want to say?" Yujin leans forward with his distinct, unsettling posture. "Ain," he begins, his voice serious. "Every time you use magic, it puts a strain on your heart, doesn't it?" Ain looks slightly surprised by his directness. "Did my father tell you?" she asks, confirming his suspicion. She sighs, resigned to the truth. "Well, no point hiding it now. You're right." She looks away, adding with a grim tone, "If I keep using magic like this, I'll probably die before long." Yujin remains silent, his head bowed as he takes in her somber confession. Leaning back with a bitter sigh, Ain continues, "It's ironic, isn't it? Even though I inherited this incredibly special talent from my father." She clutches the ornament on her chest, her expression filled with pain. "He called it some absurdly rare condition called mana allergy. That the strain keeps building up in my heart, and in the end, it'll explode and kill me." Yujin clenches his fist, letting out a dark, humorless laugh. "Ha ha, mana allergy, huh?" Ain's expression hardens into a cynical smile. "That's a pretty convincing lie, teacher. So you ripped out my heart because you were curious about that? You really have the same ridiculous impulse as ever." She stands up, grabbing her hat. "If that's all you had to say, I'll be going. I've got a mountain of work to get through, too." As she turns to leave, Yujin suddenly reaches out and grabs her arm, stopping her. She looks at his hand, startled by the sudden contact. Yujin holds onto her, his gaze distant. "In this world," he says slowly, "there are so many things people need besides mages." Ain's eyes tremble with shock as she understands his meaning. He continues, "So instead of living as a mage on borrowed time, you could find some other job where people need you." He offers his help. "I'll help you, okay? We can find a place where you can start over." Ain's voice cuts through his offer, cold and sharp. "Let go." She forcefully slaps his hand away. "Yujin, you've crossed the line," she says, her voice laced with fury. "I told you, there's no empty space left for Uncle anymore." A chilling, distorted image of Yujin's masked face fills the panel as Ain declares, "You have no right to meddle in my life. This is my life on the line." Ain gestures angrily towards the discarded Academy flyers. "This is the special gift I received from my father. Being born with this crappy disease is my burden, so it's my problem to deal with. At this point, any life that isn't as a mage, especially if I'm the Archmage's blood and still nothing special. Rather than becoming a human who is not special, despite being the blood relative of a great sorcerer, I'd rather die." She picks up one of Yujin's flyers. "You're opening a magic academy?" she asks mockingly. "That suits you perfectly." She shoves the flyer at him. "Instead of sticking your nose into my life for no reason, why don't you focus on all the students who will actually pay to hear you talk?" Yujin is left in silence, his masked face betraying no emotion as Ain turns her back on him completely. As Ain is about to walk away, Yujin tries one last time. "Ain, the truth is," but he is interrupted. Just as she turns to leave, her phone rings. She answers with her usual tired tone. "Yes, this is Jeong Ain," but her expression quickly shifts to one of concern as she listens. "Ah, Ms. Ju, did something happen?" she asks, her voice now sharp. "You sound strange." In the background, Yujin watches, sensing the sudden change in atmosphere. Ain's eyes widen with urgency as she speaks into the phone. "I'll come right away. Hang in there as long as you can." She quickly turns to leave, giving Yujin a hurried apology. "Sorry for the trouble. Something urgent came up, so I'll go." Yujin is left alone in the quiet room, his back turned. He wonders to himself with regret, should I have told her? His mind flashes back to a memory. He and another man, presumably the Archmage, watch a holographic simulation of a heart transplant. A voice narrates, "This simulation failed too." The flashback explains the critical flaw in their research. Even with every medical spell we know, when you transplant a mage's heart into someone born unable to accept mana, you can't stop the rejection. The Archmage turns to a younger Yujin. "If we could just solve this one problem, we could create even more good mages with both character and wisdom." "Yujin, I think the base premise of your simulation is too extreme." The Archmage's voice continues, questioning Yujin's radical idea. "You want to put the heart with the highest mana density I've ever seen into Ain's body, and she isn't even 8 yet." A younger Yujin smiles, defending his desperate plan. "Ain is both my teacher's daughter and my precious niece. Of course I should give her the best thing I have. But even if she does gain the ability to use magic, living with an expiration date would defeat the whole purpose." The Archmage makes a decision. "Let's table this method for now. There must be another way. We'll think it through more." Back in the present, Yujin is tormented by the memory and Ain's recent defiance. No, even if she knew the truth, he thinks, Ain wouldn't have given up. He clutches his head, spiraling into guilt and despair. Then, what was I supposed to do? Should I have forced her to stop? Should I have taken measures to prevent her from using magic? This is all because I allowed teacher to take my heart. Ain is going to die because of me. He collapses onto the couch, defeated. There's nothing I can choose. Hunched over in a grotesque posture of pure anguish, Yujin's thoughts consume him. It's just like 14 years ago. I'm still the same useless coward. His spiral is suddenly interrupted by the sound of a doorbell. Ding-dong, tilde, he looks up from his despair, confused. Who is it? The scene shifts to a park overlooking the city at dusk. The mood is tense and quiet. Ain stands before Friedrich Gamora, who looks her over with a critical eye. Well, aside from the hair and eye color not that similar, you don't really resemble him that much. Friedrich gestures towards her distinctive hat, a pool of blood and her defeated subordinates visible in the background. But that hat brings back memories. A close-up on Ain's face reveals her intense focus, sweat beading on her temple. She thinks to herself, recognizing the immense power before her, just facing you is enough to feel this pressure. It's really him. Ain recalls the stories of the man before her. A dynamic panel shows Friedrich in a chaotic battle from the past. Once, he was father's right hand, the traitor who smashed multiple cities fighting him. Back in the present, Friedrich nonchalantly chugs a can of soda. Just seeing you takes me back. Friedrich stands tall, his power radiating around him while her subordinates lie defeated. Ain's inner monologue is filled with dread. Friedrich Gamora, I feel sick, the strongest battle mage alive. With a cruel smirk, Friedrich effortlessly flicks his empty can towards the injured subordinates. Catch. The can hits one of them and Friedrich taunts Ain. Why do you even keep them around? They're so weak it's embarrassing to use them even as errand runners. Barely conscious, Mr. Go pleads with her to escape. Director, you have to run. If your father, the Archmage, doesn't come. Beside him, a sobbing Ms. Ju apologizes. I'm sorry, Director. I shouldn't have called her. I was just so scared. Ignoring their pleas, Ain stands resolute as a golden magic circle ignites beneath her injured subordinates. I'll send you to a hospital, she says, her voice firm with finality. Thank you for everything till now. Realizing she is sending them away to face the enemy alone, they stare in shock at her farewell, crying out, till now. A brilliant pillar of light erupts around her subordinates as Ain casts her spell. Friedrich watches, calling out, Jeong Ain, you crazy. Ain simply says, sorry. With her subordinates safely teleported away, Ain stands alone against Friedrich. He taunts her, you had enough time to say your goodbyes, right? Now help me out a bit. Friedrich reveals his true motive, channeling dark red magic in his palm. I'm on my way to see your father, Jeong Ui-Hyeok, for the first time in ages. Ain listens in silence, her heart pounding in her chest as he continues his menacing monologue. And it'd be rude to show up empty-handed. Suddenly, a chilling, almost maniacal grin spreads across Ain's face, her eyes blacked out with magical energy. She whispers, found you. Friedrich unleashes his full, terrifying power, dark tendrils of magic coiling around him. He finishes his threat. Bringing his daughter's neck. Should make their first reunion in 30 years a bit more dramatic, don't you think? Ain retorts with cold fury, her own magical power beginning to glow. As Jeong Ui-Hyeok's daughter, you really don't get your father's taste if this is how his old friend acts. As the Archmage's most loyal disciple, you're turned away at the door. Surrounded by a storm of her own magic, Ain takes her battle stance. With a look of absolute resolve, she declares, you won't be seeing father today. Choose your place of death with honor. The scene opens to LK Hospital. An urgent voice yells, hurry, hurry. Inside, chaos ensues as staff run towards a commotion. People are shouting, what is it? What's going on? Someone explains, emergency patient. They suddenly flew in using magic. A person lies on the ground, heavily injured and bleeding. A voice commands, there's heavy bleeding, move them to the resuscitation room now. The scene shifts. A man holds a drink, looking at some promotional flyers on the table. He says, so we asked the promotions team for help. He's talking to a man in a black coat and a peculiar mask. The first man continues, they said they'd put together how to prepare SNS promotion and send us a simple summary. Isn't that a relief? The man looks concerned at his silent companion. He thinks to himself, since I was the one who suggested this to you in the first place, I came to check you weren't in trouble again, but... He continues his internal monologue, looking at the grim figure of the masked man, Yujin. This is so intense it's making me nauseous. You already look creepy, but when you're gloomy you look way more terrifying. He then speaks up, trying to break the heavy silence. What in the world happened to leave you this deflated? Teacher Yujin. Yujin finally responds, ah, yes. Looking troubled, the man says, I'm sorry, especially after you went out of your way to help, but I'm thinking of dropping the academy plan and looking for something else to do. Yujin looks up, surprised, asking, Why? Yujin clenches his hands around his cup, his gaze downcast. He explains, there's a kid who was hurting themselves, struggling desperately for their dream. A flashback shows a brief, tense moment between Yujin and a girl in a witch hat. He continues, and instead of helping that kid chase their dream, I ended up pushing them to give up. I think I really hurt them. Yujin bows his head in regret. I barged in with pointless meddling without even understanding how they felt, and now I say I want to be an educator who teaches people. He concludes with a heavy heart, I don't think this is the right job for me. His companion quietly sips his drink, listening intently. Yujin looks up, startled, as his companion seems about to speak. Excuse me, teacher Yujin. The man, Yu Xiangcheng, begins to share his own experience. In this line of work as a detective, actually more often than you'd think I see this. He gives an example. We break down a door because a burglar's inside, get the victim to safety, and then they yell at us about who's paying for the door. He gives another, more personal example with a cheerful but pained expression. I once rescued someone shaking on a bridge about to jump, and they slapped me asking why I saved them. Xiangcheng sits across from the despondent Yujin, explaining his point. There are plenty of people who are clearly in danger, but don't realize it or stubbornly look away from it. Leaning forward with a bright, determined face, he asks, does that mean we should just leave them there? My job is to help them anyway. Yujin stares back, his large, masked eyes wide as he takes in Xiangcheng's words. Xiangcheng picks up the promotional flyers from the table. You decided to become an educator, and if someone's in trouble but keeps looking away from it, he slides the flyers across the table to Yujin. Let them know they're in danger and worry it through together. Help them find a way to get through it with you. That's an educator's duty. Yujin looks at the flyer, his thoughts filled with doubt. I wanted to do that, but I just don't see a way. Xiangcheng replies firmly, there's always a way, isn't there? Yu Xiangcheng's words hit him with startling clarity. This is a world with magic. Yujin's wide eyes show that a powerful realization is beginning to dawn on him. As Xiangcheng encourages, if you really try hard, you'll figure something out. Right. Yujin's gaze falls upon his own academy flyer, which cheerfully invites students to walk the great path of magic with us. The simple words on the flyer, combined with his friend's advice, finally click into place. The realization hits Yujin. He slumps back in his seat, holding his drink, and wonders aloud, how did I not think of that? The scene flashes back to a chaotic battlefield. Amidst glowing blue magical remnants, the powerful mage Friedrich Gamora unleashes an attack, sending the young witch, Jeong Ain, flying backward. Friedrich stands with an imposing aura, condensing crackling red and black energy in his hand. A massive, fiery explosion erupts, as a figure is engulfed in the blast from Friedrich's attack. But the fight is not over. With a determined snarl, Jeong Ain gathers her own magic, her hands glowing with turquoise energy as she prepares a Tier 1 multi-casting spell. From high in the air, Ain unleashes a volley of 10 mana bolts, which rain down towards Friedrich. Friedrich, however, appears unfazed, casually raising a hand to counter the barrage of spells coming his way. Undeterred, Ain gathers an even greater amount of power, preparing to cast Tier 2 magic from above. She begins her assault, launching a barrage of sharp, glowing projectiles, high-frequency rebar, followed immediately by a swirling, yellow vortex of cutting energy, an axehead storm. Next, she manifests telekinetic explosive rounds, pulsing with unstable energy. Finally, with a fierce look in her eyes, she summons sharp mana blades. All of Ain's varied spells, a chaotic storm of blue and green energy, fly towards Friedrich at once. Her multiple attacks converge on him, creating a blinding flash of light upon impact. The attack culminates in a huge, fiery explosion that seems to completely engulf Friedrich. Not letting up for a second, Ain begins to weave an even more complex spell, a Tier 1 plus Tier 2 composite spell. But Friedrich stands amidst the devastation, completely unfazed, simply pointing a finger towards the sky. He unleashes his own overwhelming power. Telekinesis output boost x10, causing a massive island of Earth to be ripped from the ground and lifted into the night sky. The gigantic landmass, held aloft by his power, begins to crumble and disintegrate. Jeong Ain can only stand and watch from below, completely dwarfed by the scale of Friedrich's devastating counterattack. Ain pants, breathless from the exertion, but her eyes still hold a defiant fire. A thought echoes, more elements and spell types than an ordinary mage would even dare attempt. The finesse to weave all of them into one, and the overwhelming mana to flip a mountain on its head. The voice is revealed to be Friedrich's as he emerges from the smoke and fire. He taunts her, "You really are a remarkable mage worthy of Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's blood. Is that the kind of compliment you wanted to hear?" He continues his condescending lecture. "Sure, you can use a bunch of spells, but there wasn't a single one that was truly solid." With a look of utter disdain, Friedrich scoffs, "I didn't come here to watch your talent show." Seeing Jeong Ain prepare yet another massive spell, Friedrich Gamora looks on in mild surprise, questioning, triple casting. With a pained scream, Ain pushes her body to its absolute limit, channeling a torrent of fiery magic. She unleashes her ultimate attack, triple-tier magic, in a spectacular and destructive blast of power. After the immense spell, Ain is left panting and exhausted, black smoke rising from her strained body. She thinks to herself with finality, it's over. She stares at the crater left by her magic, realizing her desperation. Even triple-tier magic. I've burned through every spell I can use. Slumped over and breathless, she acknowledges her critical state. I'm at my limit if I cast even one more light spell. A vision of her jewel-like heart cracking appears as she finishes the thought. I'll explode. Kneeling in the desolate wasteland with Friedrich standing far in the distance, Ain resigns herself to her fate. So this really is the end? For my magic, and for my life. As she remains on her knees, a final wish surfaces in her mind. At the very least, I hoped my last battle, in my last struggle, would still leave me as someone my father could be proud of. Friedrich stands over the defeated Ain. Instead of a final blow, he speaks with utter contempt. Kid, just go home. Ain looks up, shocked by his dismissiveness. Friedrich continues his monologue. When I heard the Archmage's own kid was a mage, I was actually curious to see how well he'd shaped you. But all I see are cheap tricks. Flashy, overblown spells with nothing underneath, and some so-called triple-tier spell that's just 3 rings stitched together. What a joke. He looks down on her, his expression pitiless. If this is the level of his own flesh and blood, I almost feel sorry for Jeong Ui-Hyeok. Friedrich delivers a final, crushing insult. Killing a failure like you would just be doing him a favor by taking out his trash for him. Ain can only think. What? Ain's shock turns to fury. What is this old hag even saying? She thinks, before shouting defiantly, I'd rather die than do anything that makes that bastard's life easier. Friedrich simply turns his back on her. I should have known as soon as I saw the level of those underlings you dragged in as bait. Totally killed the mood. Go wash up and go to bed. Enraged and in disbelief that he's simply walking away, Ain screams, Where are you going? Finish this. She can't accept this outcome. No. She yells desperately at his retreating back. You said you'd bring my head to my father. I'm not done yet. The thought of surviving without her magic terrifies her. If I survive like this, with a final, desperate scream, she tries to summon what little power she has left. Come back here and finish the fight. All that'll be left for me is a miserable life where I can't even use magic. Friedrich stops, annoyed by her persistence. What a whiner. You're loud enough to kill me. He turns back, dark red energy crackling in his hand. Don't fuss. If someone begs you that hard to kill them even after you say you'll spare them. As Friedrich is about to grant her wish, a strange, masked figure suddenly appears behind Ain, reaching for her. Yujin's cheerful voice cuts through the tension. Oh, there you are, Ain Tilda. Both Friedrich and Ain are stunned into silence by the sudden, bizarre interruption. Ain can only stammer out a single letter. Why? Continuing the conversation, Yujin nods in agreement. Detective Kim Seung-Hae, with a look of realization, says, Fried. Ah, that old man. I know him. Ah, yes. Yujin, looking tense, asks urgently, Where is it? While Detective Kim Seung-Hae calmly replies from the sofa, Tilda, I know where that is. From behind, Yujin speaks into his phone, reassuring the person on the other end. Don't worry, I'll head there right away. He adds with conviction, Ain will be safe. Yujin quickly ends the call and apologizes to Detective Kim Seung-Hae. I'm sorry, Detective Kim. Something really, really urgent came up. Kim, understanding, replies, Oh no, if it's urgent, you should go. As he's about to leave, Yujin hesitates and asks, could I have that flyer? Detective Kim Seung-Hae is momentarily taken aback. Yujin takes the flyer from Detective Kim Seung-Hae's hand. Here you go. Thanks. Kim Seung-Hae speaks up. I'm sorry for worrying you with my gloomy face earlier, especially when you took the time to visit out of your busy schedule. Yujin, looking downcast, replies, No, well, it happens. I feel like maybe I was just being nosy. As Yujin thinks about being nosy, he takes out a pen and starts writing on the back of the flyer. Suddenly, Yujin's demeanor changes. He stands up, his form surrounded by a strange green aura as he tells Kim, Detective Kim, thanks to those words you consider nosy, I was able to find courage, too. Yujin climbs onto the windowsill, preparing to leave in a most unusual way. I'll contact you again after I finish this urgent business. Detective Kim Seung-Hae can only watch in stunned silence, managing to say, Okay. Be safe, Mr. Yujin. Yujin leaps out of the window, shattering it as he departs. Detective Kim Seung-Hae is left staring at the broken window, wondering, just how urgent is it that he's leaving through the window? Kim Seung-Hae reflects on the strange encounter with a wry smile. He seems to have regained his energy, but, good grief, who on earth gets energized? With such a creepy look on their face? Kim thinks, picturing Yujin soaring through the sky, now wearing a terrifying plague doctor mask. Now in his masked form, Yujin comes to a stop midair looking down. He thinks to himself, this must be the spot, the place she mentioned on the phone. Yujin floats down towards a desolate landscape littered with glowing blue spikes. Sheesh, what a mess, Tilda, he remarks, thinking. Looks like it was hit by a missile bombardment. His blade-like arm sweeps over the ravaged terrain as he analyzes the scene. If magic was used to scorch the surroundings to this extent. Suddenly, Yujin's bladed arm lashes out towards two figures in the distance. As he shouts, I'm not done yet. A sinister grin spreads across Yujin's masked face. Okay, Tilda, he says playfully. Yujin floats menacingly above Jeong Ain, who stands her ground, readying her magic. Jeong Ain, enraged, unleashes a torrent of magical energy, shouting, come back here and fight. In an instant, Yujin appears behind Jeong Ain and grabs her face. She gasps in shock. How did you find this place? Yujin casually asks. Tilda was it Mr. Go Hwi-Myung. Yujin explains, you know the man who works with you. The scene flashes to the body of Go Hwi-Myung lying on the ground. He called and told me you were in danger. I'll thank him later. With that, Yujin's hand erupts in a fiery orange magic, enveloping Jeong Ain's head. In a bizarre display, a headless body slumps in Yujin's grasp as the real Jeong Ain reappears beside him, muttering, creepy. Paying her no mind, Yujin immediately turns his taunts toward the newcomer, Friedrich Gamora. Who's that beandle? Your boyfriend. Visibly angered by the interruption and Yujin's appearance, Friedrich Gamora's hand crackles with dark energy. He snarls, interrupting me is one thing, but you look so hideous I can't even stand to look at you. I couldn't hold back, so in the heat of the moment. Friedrich Gamora trails off. Yujin calmly replies, your temper is just the same then and now. Yujin turns his back to Friedrich, his masked face inches from Jeong Ain's. Please wait a moment. I'll deal with you once I'm done talking to Ain Tilda. Jeong Ain trembles, her eyes wide with fear and confusion as she stammers. What on earth? Yujin's hand plunges into Jeong Ain's chest and pulls out a pulsating, gem-studded heart. Horrified, she asks, is this? What are you doing? Yujin holds the glowing heart in his hand, showing it to Ain. Look at this, Tilda, it's in a state where it wouldn't be strange if it exploded right now. Having removed his mask, Yujin admonishes her. Ain, if you used magic just now, then it's really But Ain cuts him off, slapping his hand away and yelling, so what? I told you earlier, don't interfere. Ain's face is contorted with rage and despair. Did you not understand? It's pointless meddling. As a mage, don't ruin my chance to die as Jeong Ui-Hyeok's daughter. Yujin looks at the pulsating heart in his hand and questions her. Ruin? He then looks back at her and asks, why shouldn't I? A horrifyingly distorted image of Yujin's smiling face fills the panel as he shouts, what kind of adult would look at a kid determined to die? And just say, go ahead and leave them be. Stunned by his outburst, Jeong Ain is left completely speechless. Her defiance begins to crumble as she meekly asks, then, tears welling up in her eyes, she asks Yujin in desperation, then what do you want me to do? How am I supposed to? This is the only chance I have to be special to father. There's no other way to prove myself except this. Jeong Ain breaks down completely, screaming through her tears, I don't want to die either. But with a heart like this, I can't even dream of being a Grand Mage. So how else am I supposed to become father's proudest disciple? Yujin simply asks, how? He then offers a gentle smile, saying, that's why your uncle is here, Tilda. Holding the jeweled heart, he explains, the mana in this heart your dad left you, which let you fly through the sky and overturn mountains. Yujin leans in closer to a still crying Ain. Let's put that specialness down for a moment. Ain looks up, confused. He holds out the yellow flyer he got from Detective Kim. If you promise not to give up on life, if you give Uncle a chance to take responsibility. With the flyer held between them, Yujin makes his promise. Then no matter what it takes, Uncle will make you a Grand Mage. Jeong Ain stares blankly at the flyer, thinking to herself in disbelief. Even father couldn't help me, so how could you? As she is about to voice her disbelief, she stops herself. I swallowed the words about to leave my mouth. She pulls the flyer closer for a better look. She stares at the cartoon drawing of Yujin on the flyer, a realization dawning on her. The person in front of me is the one I so desperately wanted to become. A vision of a younger, idealized man appears in her mind. Yujin presents the flyer, which reads Yujin Magic Academy. It lists him as Director Yujin, former chief disciple of Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok. He declares, because I am father's proudest disciple. Looking on from behind, a sense of disbelieving awe washes over Ain. Wow, are you grabbing someone's heart to threaten them now? She thinks. This is unbelievable, really. But within that unbelievable act, a flicker of hope ignites. Maybe this person, I'll take a chance on you then, she decides. With a small, determined smile, she looks up and asks, "Should I call you Master Uncle?" Ain continues her thoughts, filled with a newfound hope. Maybe he can let me dream the dream I gave up on. Yujin, with a wide grin, muses, Tilda Master is a bit old-fashioned. Yujin, back in his masked form, explodes with energy and declares, "Call me Teacher Yujin to be trendy." Ain is stunned, surrounded by the remnants of Yujin's energy, and she repeats his title in confusion. "Teacher." Yujin crushes the heart in his hand and says, "You crazy bastard! What the hell are you doing?" He then seems surprised. Why doesn't it hurt?" He crushes it completely, saying, "It was good to see you after so long." The remnants of the heart's energy swirl around. "It's shameless, but I have a favor to ask." A new heart, forged from red magical energy, begins to form. No longer as my heart, but the newly formed heart is sent flying towards Ain's chest as Yujin commands. Beat as Ain's heart now. As the tendrils of energy recede from her, Ain looks down at her chest in surprise, realizing it disappeared. Ain stands, feeling the steady beat of her new heart. The mana that always overflowed from the heart, I can't feel any of it. But the heart, it feels peaceful. That uncomfortable feeling, like it wasn't my own body, is gone. A wave of relief washes over her as the realization hits. I can still live. With a determined smile, she thinks, I can live, and somehow regain my magic. Aiming for Grand Mage. Yujin turns to Friedrich and says, "Sorry to keep you waiting, Tilda." Ain is startled back to the present, thinking, oh right. Uncle Yujin barged in so suddenly I forgot. Yujin stands beside Ain, facing Friedrich. "Since I'm done talking with Ain, if you have business with us, I'll hear you out." Friedrich, who had been impatiently checking his phone, looks up in disbelief. "You are still with that monster." Friedrich stands up, clenching his fists in anger. "This is absolutely absurd. I don't know how long it's been since I was ignored like this." Friedrich questions him, "Business?" but then dismisses it. "I didn't really have any, but there is one thing that bugs me." Yujin grins. "Didn't you say something earlier? That my temper is the same as ever?" Friedrich retorts, "It bothers me that you speak as if we've met." Friedrich scoffs, "I don't remember ever seeing a gross-looking guy like you." Yujin replies coolly, "Well, it has been long enough to forget, hasn't it? Since the last time we saw each other was about 30 years ago." A close-up on Friedrich's sunglasses reflects Yujin's image as he continues. "Back when you came to my master, threw a tantrum, got scolded, and ran away." Friedrich is silent for a moment, then a wide, menacing grin spreads across his face as he repeats Yujin's words. "Scolded, ran away." Yujin remains unfazed as Ain watches in horror. Friedrich continues, "You have an interesting choice of words, don't you? Why do all the brats raised by Jeong Ui-Hyeok have such filthy mouths?" An immense wave of dark purple energy erupts from Friedrich, cracking the very ground around him. Friedrich takes off his sunglasses, revealing glowing red eyes, his face contorted in a furious grin. "It makes tearing you apart so much more rewarding." Ain panics, grabbing Yujin's arm. "Are you crazy? Why are you provoking him for no reason?" That's Friedrich, the strongest mage with no equal aside from the Grand Mages. Ain continues to panic. "You made such a fuss about saving me, and now we're both going to die," but Yujin places a calming hand on her shoulder. "Actually, this works out well, Ain." She looks up, confused. Yujin's masked face sprouts multiple eyes as he calmly states, "He's too dangerous to just leave alone." Yujin's hand morphs into a grotesque claw as he continues. "And showing you in a situation like this will make it memorable. Watch closely, Ain. For Yujin Magic Academy's first student, Jeong Ain." Yujin looms over a terrified Ain, his form a swirling mass of dark energy and eyes, and makes his final declaration. "This is Teacher Yujin's Grand Mage curriculum. Orientation." Jeong Ain stares in disbelief, her body surrounded by sinister black tendrils of magic. All she can muster is a single word. "What?" The tendrils coalesce into a bizarre, writhing rune unlike anything she's ever seen. "What is that? Such a bizarre rune?" She thinks to herself, completely bewildered. As the strange entity hovers beside her, she continues her internal monologue full of doubt. Is this really magic? I've never even heard of a rune shaped like this before." The masked man, Yujin, reassures her with a playful tone. "It's magic, of course, Tilda, since Ain's completely defenseless right now. I'm casting this so she doesn't get caught up in that old man's magic, Tilda." Yujin's hands move with purpose as he channels his power, a strange, smiling face appearing within the dark energy. He declares the technique, two rune magic. A shimmering blue aura envelops Jeong Ain, forming a protective barrier around her entire body. This is an all-attribute full-body protection magic. With the protection spell active, Yujin turns to Jeong Ain. "Still, it's dangerous, so step back a bit. By the way, Ain, do you have any idea how much mana that spell just used?" Jeong Ain answers, slightly indignant. "What? Out of nowhere? Of course I do. Aegis is the protection spell I always kept up during battles, after all." but Yujin's reply shocks her. The correct answer is not even a single drop. Her eyes widen in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend what she just heard. A single thought echoes in her mind. Huh. Yujin then makes a shocking revelation while pointing towards the powerful Archmage Friedrich in the distance. Don't worry too much about your heart's mana disappearing, Ain. Even the teacher has 0 mana in their heart too. What I'm about to show you now, and teach you from here on out, is how to use magic without using mana. As Yujin takes a step forward, Jeong Ain is filled with doubt. In a situation like this, saying something that makes no sense. Can we really win this? She analyzes the opponent, Archmage Friedrich, who stands amidst his destructive magic. Close-range type, doesn't look defenseless enough to rush in. Friedrich gathers powerful red energy in his hand, his face contorted with confidence. Jeong Ain thinks, they say he's Jeong Ui-Hyeok's disciple, so he's gotta have confidence in something. For now, let's just watch and see what he does. Yujin conjures his bizarre, creature-like rune once more. He's preparing his own 2-rune magic. Friedrich unleashes his attack, a swirling vortex of energy aimed directly at Yujin. However, Yujin's strange magic shoots out like a beam, effortlessly piercing through Friedrich's spell. The beam strikes Friedrich, binding his body and breaking through his powerful barrier with ease, leaving red cracks in its wake. Jeong Ain watches in shock. Even when I blasted it with high-powered spells, that barrier didn't budge at all, and he broke it with a basic spell like that. Friedrich, caught in the binding, looks at his hand in disbelief. Huh, that's some pretty solid spell structure. Definitely way better than Jeong Ui-Hyeok's shoddy work. Yujin's rune retracts as he casually dismisses Friedrich's praise. Impressive, that's all it gets. Yujin then mocks him further. It wasn't nearly good enough to provoke me like that. Suddenly, a burst of orange, flame-like energy erupts from Friedrich as he breaks free from Yujin's spell. Yujin seems surprised by this turn of events. Oh, right, yeah. Friedrich's body, now glowing with regenerative power, prompts Yujin's remark. Your head grew back even after I blew it off. Yujin observes the display, grabbing a tendril of the orange energy. This one's a bit shocking, I guess. Regeneration magic that can repair damage this extreme is pretty rare, he muses before asking directly, is this what you were banking on? Seeing the seemingly unstoppable healing, Jeong Ain clings to a sliver of hope. That regeneration was disgustingly powerful, sure, but his opponent's the Great Mage, Friedrich, she thinks, anxious yet hopeful. Jeong Ain continues to hope, thinking, he might find a way somehow. Meanwhile, Yujin calmly analyzes Friedrich's regeneration, stating, it's not my first time seeing it. Yujin explains the flaw in such abilities. Nothing like an invincible immortal without a weakness exists. There's always a core at the center of the regeneration, or some kind of limit point. He reveals his gruesome plan. I'll disintegrate your body from the inside down to the molecular level and reconstruct it all messed up to break your regeneration algorithm. Friedrich's eyes widen in horror as he is surrounded by Yujin's dark, crackling energy. He can only utter a single word. You. Suddenly, Friedrich reaches out and grabs the dark tendrils of energy that bind him. A shocked Yujin exclaims, right now? What are you grabbing? Yujin is baffled. He thinks, this black lightning is a chemical reaction caused by mana. The moment it touches, it should melt anything matter or mana alike into scattered molecules. His confusion grows as Friedrich holds fast to the destructive energy. You can't just grab it like you're pulling up a weed. Friedrich, engulfed in the chaotic energy, stares back defiantly, thinking, what kind of insane magic is he even using? Yujin pulls back his tendrils, seemingly abandoning his previous attack. He thinks to himself with resolve, whatever, fine. Yujin lunges forward with a new strategy in mind. First melt and scatter it, then counter. He closes the distance in an instant, grabbing hold of Friedrich's arm with a triumphant cry. Gotcha, Tilda. Friedrich scoffs, enraged. Grab what? You mean the 12 layers of high-density protection spells around my entire body? Yujin's masked face twists into a grin. You think breaking my barrier has you all excited? It might feel like you're grabbing my arm, but it's like groping the outer wall of a nuclear bunker with your bare hands. Yujin's magic erupts, shattering Friedrich's defenses in a brilliant, violent explosion. Friedrich is completely overwhelmed as Yujin's tendrils envelop him, his body twisting in their grasp. This is... what now? As the dark tendrils tear into him, Friedrich roars in agony and frustration. Damn it, friggin' hell. Shit. Yujin pulls back a hand that seems to have been mangled in the attack, wincing. Ouch! What the hell? Yujin looks at his damaged hand. That must hurt. Did you really have to cut it off? Couldn't you just leave it? Friedrich can only think, no way. Friedrich stumbles back, clutching his bleeding arm. He thinks in disbelief. Even when I fought Jeong Ui-Hyeok, it never got pierced this pathetically. What kind of bullshit magic is this? Yujin suddenly calls out to his spectator. Ain, startled, she replies, huh, yeah. He turns to her, his opponent temporarily forgotten. Sorry, Tilda, I wanted to show you more monoless magic, but I just don't have the leeway, Tilda, for now. I'll briefly explain the ones I showed properly. Yujin begins his lesson, his form shifting and swirling with dark energy. You saw this one earlier today, right, Ain? Freely altering your own body's form and composition. He demonstrates, his hands morphing into different grotesque shapes, and even transforming other objects that touch your hands. As Friedrich seethes in the background, and Jeong Ain stares in wide-eyed shock, Yujin explains. Strictly speaking, it's not magic, but the name of this technique you'll learn from now on is. With a flourish, Yujin displays his transformed hands. A magic used without runes, Muron magic. A massive explosion of grotesque, fiery magic erupts from Friedrich. Friedrich is caught in the swirling, chaotic energy, a mix of fire and darkness. The sight is so unsettling that a single word comes to his mind. Disgusting. Yujin stands amidst the inferno, a strange sensation washing over Friedrich. Since earlier, Friedrich thinks, the fiery vortex intensifies, the raw, chaotic energy swirling around him. Friedrich questions the unfamiliar feeling. What is this feeling? As Yujin moves, surrounded by his unnatural runes, Friedrich identifies the encroaching sensation. This sensation that's gradually corroding my judgment. He desperately tries to understand the source of his discomfort. Is it the pain from having my arm cut off? He quickly concludes, no. He considers another possibility as he dodges Yujin's attacks within the fiery landscape. Bewilderment from this bastard's unknown freakish magic. Friedrich rejects that idea as well. No. The flames coalesce into a horrifying mass of eyeballs, a truly monstrous sight. From the inferno, grotesque creatures made of fire and eyes begin to rise, staring down at Yujin. Yujin is caught and seemingly consumed by the monstrous fiery tendrils, letting out a choked sound. NGH. Friedrich is being overwhelmed by a hellscape of fire, filled with shadowy, monstrous figures. Friedrich clutches his arm, gasping for breath. He finally begins to understand the feeling. Ever since I faced off against this guy? As time passes, this inexplicable revulsion rising from inside, his own regenerative magic, now corrupted by Yujin's influence, melts and writhes before him. It is a feeling of pure disgust. He identifies the core of his horror. The feeling of something that shouldn't be tangled getting all twisted up. Below, amidst the chaos he created, Yujin laughs maniacally. The realization hits him with full force. It's like facing something that shouldn't exist in this world right in front of me. Overwhelmed, Friedrich screams, giggling away. I said stop. Yujin continues his assault, and for the first time the Archmage feels a primal emotion taking over. Fear. Through a gap in the swirling vortex of dark magic and fire, Jeong Ain watches the terrifying scene unfold. Seeing Yujin seemingly lost in his own destructive power, Jeong Ain cries out in worry, Uncle Yujin. Yujin's attack pauses. Friedrich, terrified and broken, can only stammer, no, no, me. His pride shatters as he confronts the reality of his situation. Friedrich Gamora. As Yujin's dark, twisted form looms over him, Friedrich continues his thought in despair. Losing to some disciple of Jeong Ui-Hyeok, Yujin plunges his hand into Friedrich's chest and rips out his glowing mana heart. Friedrich's final thought of defiance is of being defeated to this inexplicable bastard. Friedrich stares at his own mana heart, now held in Yujin's hand. He thinks, I'm scared. Yujin, however, seems exhilarated. Phew, that was hilarious, right? Yujin offers a twisted apology for his behavior. Sorry, in this state, the more magic I use, the more my brain itches. I just can't help it. Jeong Ain, watching from the sidelines as the chaos subsides, asks hesitantly, is it over? Jeong Ain watches the scene unfold, her previous anxiety still lingering. Even though he said it so confidently, I was worried something might go wrong. Below, Yujin now holds the defeated Friedrich by the collar. She stares, dumbfounded, as Yujin holds Friedrich's pulsating mana heart. For real? Uncle beat Friedrich. Friedrich looks at his own heart with a strange sense of detachment. Never thought I'd get to see my own heart up close in my lifetime. Yujin calls out to him, hey, if I say I let my guard down, will you buy it? Yujin flashes a creepy smile. Oh, Tilda, so you were off guard? I'm not specialized in combat magic, so I wouldn't know, but if you say so, I'll believe you. Friedrich grins back with defiance. Heh, seeing you spout snarky crap to the bitter end proves you're Jeong Ui-Hyeok's student all right. A memory surfaces in Friedrich's mind. I still remember it. One gesture from that old man, and the city crumbled amid the screams of people burning in the fiery ruins. Yujin's expression darkens as he holds the mana heart. You're someone who shouldn't be allowed to use magic. I'll have to end the mage Friedrich right here. Friedrich seems to accept his fate, letting his hand fall limp. Yeah, go ahead and act all high and mighty. You've earned that right, since you won this time. But Yujin isn't finished. He holds the heart aloft, his dark magic swirling around it. Here, a souvenir for you, a war trophy. As Yujin tosses the heart back, Friedrich thinks in disbelief. My God! Right before cutting out the heart is crushed, and Friedrich realizes Yujin's cruel trick. He pumped all the heart's mana into the bloodstream at once. With his body about to be overloaded with his own mana, Friedrich screams a name in desperation. SHAORI. A new character appears, thinking, that guy's way too dangerous. Just as Yujin is about to deliver the final blow, a green portal opens and hands reach out, pulling Friedrich away from the attack. Yujin is caught and bound by chains of green energy that emerged from the spatial gate. The chains throw Yujin off balance, as Friedrich is pulled through the portal to safety. A woman with purple hair, Shaori, appears beside the rescued Friedrich. Yujin recognizes her power. Spatial magic, she questions Friedrich. Didn't you say you were going to meet Jeong Ui-Hyeok? Shaori looks back at Yujin with a serious expression. That monster back there wasn't Jeong Ui-Hyeok. She then assesses Friedrich's condition. One arm and the heart, what a mess. She offers to take him away. I'll escort you straight back home. But Friedrich, clutching his wounded body, tells her, no, hold on a sec. Looking back towards Yujin, Friedrich smirks. Thanks to that guy, I've had some realizations. And as thanks, there's something I want to test out. Yujin watches on, his strange mask showing a hint of annoyance or strain as his opponent prepares a new move. Friedrich begins to chant, weaving together different colored strands of mana into a complex magical circle. It is a 3-rune magic. The spell culminates, its name echoing in German, Schmelstiegel der Leer, the Crucible of the Void. Yujin looks on as a red line of energy shoots out, signaling the chapter's end. In a dimly lit room, a tense magical surgery is underway. An assistant questions the person in charge, D-Doctor? The man, H.W. Myung, replies, Yeah, what's up? The female assistant, Yunhai, voices her concern. They said you needed urgent surgery assistance, so I came along, but I'm not sure if this is the right thing for us to be doing. The camera reveals the patient on the operating table, the notorious terrorist Friedrich. The doctor expresses a moral conflict, thinking, this patient, it's Friedrich, isn't it? Before being a doctor as a person, is it right to save this terrorist? H.W. Myung sharply interrupts the doctor's hesitation. Even after getting kidnapped to their hideout, you sure managed to say that. If you want to go home alive and in one piece, focus on the surgery. Doctor, an imposing figure with long, tied-back hair and golden epaulets enters the room, exclaiming, Elder. H.W. Myung provides an update on the patient's condition. He's still hanging on for now. The elder, now accompanied by a red-skinned man with horns, gives a command, Good. Let's get started right away. The horned man respectfully replies, Greetings, elder. The focus shifts to the patient, Friedrich, who speaks with great effort, his voice filled with remorse. Yeah, all this time, cleaning up my messes. You've had it rough. Friedrich addresses the red-skinned man by name, Linus. With a look of unwavering loyalty, Linus responds, No, sir. It was an honor to serve you, Linus declares, as he sacrifices himself, pulling a glowing core from his own chest. May this aid you in achieving your great cause. A woman with white hair, Shaori, announces the success of the procedure. Yes, we've successfully received your son's heart and right arm. We'll proceed straight to the transplant surgery. The elder acknowledges her, murmuring her name, Ori. Shaori looks towards the elder, her expression a mix of exhaustion and duty as she responds. Yes, elder. The elder, seemingly the one receiving the transplant, gives a final order regarding Linus. That guy, give him a proper funeral after my surgery is done. Shaori quickly interjects. Stop talking. You'll run out of breath. With a look of intense resolve, the elder gives a command to his subordinate. Zodiac, assemble everyone. Meanwhile, Friedrich, on the verge of death, has a chilling internal monologue. Is it from that fresh experience I had, or from draining out the old blood? A better plan came to mind. A memory flashes through Friedrich's mind of him grabbing a terrified child. His thoughts continue, filled with a new, dark purpose. Maybe, among those fly lives you look down on so much, even you, the strongest mage, would find laughable. A terrifying mage might just emerge. Back in the present, a defiant Friedrich glares upwards from the operating table. Yeah, Jeong Ui-Hyeok, you were right. The times have changed and so have the mages. But this change won't unfold only in the direction you intended. The scene shifts to a bright, modern cityscape. A new voice contemplates. So this is coffee. A young woman with curly dark hair sips the drink, reflecting on her past. Bitter and nutty. I couldn't even dream of drinking it because of my heart. It's not that moving of a taste. A man's voice is heard asking her, That's coffee for you. How's your condition? The young woman, Jeong Ain, turns around with a bright, joyful smile, holding her coffee. The best, to the point where I wonder if I've ever felt this good before. She's talking to her former colleagues, Yunhai and H.W. Myung. Yunhai expresses her relief, and H.W. Myung adds, Yeah, honestly, I thought we were done for back then. I never imagined the chief's uncle would have real skill in recovery magic too. A flashback shows a horrifying, skeletal figure bursting into an emergency room, shocking the medical staff. When you burst into the ER back then saying you'd help us. Wait, how did you even get in here? Kaya, pardon the intrusion, I can heal you. Back in the present, HWI Myung recalls the terrifying memory. I nearly died of shock, but we survived thanks to you. Yunhai calmly adds, he's the unpredictable type anyway. HWI Myung's expression turns serious. But Chief, he asks Ain, are you really going through with it? Ain's cheerful demeanor vanishes as she drops a bombshell. Looking down at her coffee, she says, closing down. It's just so sudden. As I told you, I'm not a mage anymore. I can't take on commissions. Before her shocked friends can process the news, Ain quickly lays out a cover story. Let's keep this under wraps for now. As for the other staff, tell them it's after effects from the fight with Friedrich and that I'm heading abroad for recovery. Yunhai stammers in disbelief. Then you're really? As she and HWI Myung look on, Ain simply confirms with a quiet yes. Ain elaborates on her plan with a newfound brightness in her eyes. Yujin Teak. No, I told you Yujin's agreed to help me regain my magic, right? No clue how long it'll take, but for now I'll quietly crash with Yujin and rely on him. HWI Myung and Yunhai remain skeptical. I get that he's the amazing mage who took down that Friedrich, but learning that bizarre magic. You serious? They think, picturing a strange, chibi version of Yujin. HWI Myung lets out a sigh, seemingly resigning himself to Ain's strange decision with a slight smirk. Well, whatever, he thinks. As Ain laughs freely, Yunhai observes the change in her. She was always so fierce, cold, lacked relaxation, and seemed to care only about performance. But somehow, she seems much more at peace now than she did when she was a mage. HWI Myung agrees, a ghostly image of Yujin appearing in his mind. It must be thanks to that person. I knew he seemed to treat the director with special care. HWI Myung recalls their decision to contact Yujin. We called him as a backup since we had no way to reach Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok, but now it feels like the right move. Just then, the rest of the staff bursts in, one yelling, Chief. The office erupts in chaos as the staff learns of Ain's departure. Retiring? No way, one cries out, clinging to Ain's leg in despair. That bastard Friedrich? The world isn't ready for Mage Jeong Ain's absence yet. Ain tries to comfort her distraught employee. It's not retirement, it's rehab, like I said. The young woman looks up, pleading, so you're heading abroad? I'll come too. I'll follow and take care of you. Yunhai grabs the crying employee, holding her back. Calm down. You scatterbrain Tilda, what good's the finance accountant tagging along Tilda? The chief's rehab will be handled by Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's capable disciple Tilda. One of the staff members approaches Ain, interrupting the chaos. Chief, here's that hat you left for repairs. Ain turns, surprised. Oh, already. He hands her the signature witch hat, explaining, the transformation function and magic coding are all fixed, but this brim, it's way too advanced for my level. Ain accepts it, remaining silent. Ain places the familiar hat on her head. It's on me for lacking the skill, so I'll deal, she says, reassuring her staff. Thanks for fixing it this much. Ain turns to her team with a heartfelt expression. Songwoo SSI, Yun SSI, Tijin SSI, thank you all so much. Thanks to your care, I could focus on work worry-free. She then speaks directly to a guilt-ridden Yunhai. Yunhai SSI, that day, even if you hadn't called me, I still would have gone. Don't beat yourself up, and thanks for always looking out for me. Finally, she turns to HWI Myung with a grateful smile. HWI Myung SSI back then? I'll never forget it my whole life. Thanks to you, I'm still here. Ain stands before her entire team, giving a final, promising farewell. Sorry for dragging all of you along with my shortcomings. With your talents, you'll thrive in better spots with bigger roles. I'll bust my ass on rehab and come back as a mage you can be proud of. As she looks out over the city, a sense of anticipation washes over her. Honestly, I'm kinda excited, she thinks. Walking through the city streets, Ain feels a newfound sense of clarity and hope. Vague as it is, it feels like everything's gonna work out. No more agonizing over how to end things. Her thoughts drift to the recent battle, remembering Yujin's overwhelming power against Friedrich. Yujin proved himself, she reaffirms internally. She recalls a memory of Yujin speaking with her father, the Grand Mage. Yujin's promise echoes in her mind. And I promise to make her as capable as you're more. Ain arrives in front of a modest building, the sign reading Yujin Magic Academy. A wave of confidence washes over her. Father's star pupil just secured my future. With a determined expression, Ain solidifies her resolve. Let's trust Yujin. Stealing her resolve, she stands before the academy and calls out her new mentor's name. Yujin. As if summoned, Yujin appears, holding a drink and looking unsurprised. Ain's already here? he says coolly. Traffic must have been light. He then trails off, muttering, I clearly. Ain stops short as she enters the room, seeing Yujin is with someone else. She thinks in frustration, telling teacher Yujin to keep my coming here a secret. The other man, Detective Kim Seung-Hae, turns and greets her nervously. Mage Jeong Ain, nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you from Director Yujin. Ain gives a small, awkward wave. Ah, hi Tilda. Ain glares daggers at Yujin. You've talked a lot about me. I specifically begged you to keep it hush-hush. Yujin simply gives her a wide, unnerving smile and says, Oh, Tilda, don't sweat it, Ain. Yujin casually introduces his acquaintance. This is your teacher's friend, Detective Kim Seung-Hae. Ain is flabbergasted, thinking, friend? But Yujin reassures her. He's super reliable, so it's all good, Tilda. Detective Kim quickly gets up to leave. WL then, Yujin, I'll head out first. I just popped in briefly from work. Yujin looks slightly disappointed. Already. As he passes by Ain, the detective whispers, Mage Jeong Ain, I won't breathe a word about that heart issue, so no worries. Ain can only reply, yeah, please handle it. While Yujin mutters, you could have stayed longer. Yujin stands to see him off. Let me walk you out. But the detective waves him off, keen to escape the awkward situation. No, you two chat freely. As the detective leaves, he thinks, I'll just step out front. Yujin watches him go, bringing a hand to his chin with a sinister-looking grin. The moment they are alone, Ain grabs Yujin's face, infuriated. Teacher, what should we do about this big mouth of yours, Tilda? Publicly, I told people I was recuperating overseas Tilda Grand Mage's daughter, the Mage Jeong Ain who smashed countless criminals, in a body that can't use magic. She continues her tirade. If word spreads she's holed up in some outskirts spot in Seoul, Tilda, the villains gunning for me would love that, Yujin struggles, stammering. But he's my friend and he's reliable, Tilda. Outside the door, Detective Kim overhears their conversation and reflects on the absurdity. So that's the niece Jeong Ain knew. Did growing up with that face toughen her up? He peeks back inside, thinking, at least she's got one close friend, when he notices a new, tall figure appearing behind them. Both Yujin and Ain freeze as the new guest arrives. Yujin trembles. Why, Yujin, teacher? A guest has arrived. Ain lets out an exasperated sigh. The new arrival blocks Detective Kim's path, remarking sarcastically, This academy gets a ton of visitors, Why not just throw a full-on Jeong Ain visit celebration party? Kim is speechless. Completely fed up, Ain decides to leave the room. Tilda, now I wash my hands of it. I'll be out front, so call when you're done. As she walks past the doorway, she stops, sensing the presence of the new guest. What? She asks, looking back. A chilling, dark face looms over her. A deep voice asks, Why the sour face? Suddenly, the man plucks the hat from her head. Hiding a pretty face under a hat such a waste, no? He says. Ain is completely taken aback, her eyes wide with shock. The man's eyes flash with anger as he addresses his disciple. Hands off, he questions, before his inner voice snarls with possessiveness. How dare you put your hands on him, knowing your place? His demeanor instantly switches back to charming as he holds up Ain's hat. See, total waste. Whose princess are you? How are you this gorgeous? The man, now revealed to be her father, smiles warmly. Long time no see, I'm thrilled, Ain. Body holding up okay? Ain, completely flustered, stammers, Why yeah, fine. Ain recognizes her father, the Grand Mage Jeong Ui-Hyeok, who has brought a large potted plant as a gift. Father, sorry. I figured you wouldn't come to a dump like this. Her father beams with pride. Places like this are exactly why I gotta come. It's where my precious firstborn's starting fresh. He gestures to the still-shocked Yujin. At the academy run by my proud disciple. Right, Yujin. The final panel reveals a full portrait of the handsome and imposing Grand Mage. Jeong Ui-Hyeok, as he casually asks his disciple. Grown a bit taller. Upon hearing that someone had met Friedrich, Yujin hunches over, his body trembling as he struggles to suppress a powerful, overwhelming emotion. A man's hand rests on a commemorative plant pot. He asks if that person is still not acting his age and causing trouble, nodding that he wasn't like that when he was young and wondering if his teenage rebellion came late. The man, Friedrich, is now shown with his daughter, Jeong Ain, and Yujin. He bows his head slightly and thanks Yujin. Friedrich looks at Yujin, explaining he heard his daughter Ain survived thanks to him. He calls her a good, smart daughter, but mentions that she sometimes acts impulsively, which worries him. Friedrich smiles, telling Yujin he's really glad that he's his disciple. At these words, Yujin's eyes widen in a deranged stare as he desperately tries to hold back his emotions. Yujin's internal monologue is a frantic plea to himself. Hold it in. He glances at Jeong Ain, who is watching the exchange. Yujin reminds himself not to lose control here, not now, because Ain is watching. He clutches his own neck, trying to physically restrain himself. He thinks, stay calm, get it together, I can hold it in. Yujin stands before Friedrich, his form tall and distorted. He internally acknowledges that this was a situation that could happen, and one he'd have to face someday. A vision flashes through Yujin's mind, his own silhouette being shattered as a red magical seal is cast. His thoughts trail off with the words, "I am." The scene becomes a tense standoff. Friedrich stands ready, his hand glowing with magic, as Yujin's shadowy, monstrous form looms over him. Friedrich, with a calm but intense gaze, holds a glowing, heart-like magical artifact pulsing with multicolored energy. Yujin's control finally snaps, his neck grotesquely stretching upwards as his body contorts, remaining utterly silent. Friedrich looks on with a sad smile, lamenting, "What a shame! I wish we could have met under better circumstances." With a burst of movement, the monstrous Yujin lunges forward, grabbing a terrified Jeong Ain in front of a stunned Friedrich. Jeong Ain and a young man, Detective Kim Seung-Hye, watch with wide-eyed shock and horror at the scene unfolding before them. But it wasn't an attack. Yujin collapses into Friedrich's arms, hugging him tightly. He apologizes, saying he knows he doesn't deserve this and that it isn't mature behavior, but he just couldn't hold it in anymore. Still embracing his master, Yujin confesses, "I wanted to see you so badly, but I was afraid you wouldn't want to see me. I didn't have the courage to visit you directly." Friedrich pauses, taken aback. After a moment of silence, a gentle, understanding smile spreads across Friedrich's face as he accepts the emotional reunion. Friedrich fondly pats Yujin's head, remarking, "You've only grown taller. You're still a child." Seeing the intimate moment between master and disciple, Detective Kim Seung-Hye decides it's best not to intrude and quietly begins to take his leave. But as he turns, Friedrich calls out to him, "Detective Kim Seung-Hye." The detective stops, surprised that the famous Archmage knows who he is. Friedrich explains, "Of course I do. You always work hard for the citizens' safety." Blushing, Detective Kim quickly excuses himself, thinking that both Yujin and Friedrich are unbelievably handsome in their own ways. He feels like he almost lost his mind. After the detective leaves, the mood shifts. Friedrich turns to his daughter, his expression now serious. "Ain, you lost your mana." With a look of profound sadness, she replies, "Yes, father." Friedrich asks his daughter, Ain, why she went to Yujin for help with her problem instead of consulting him first. Ain looks down, explaining that it's not that she doesn't trust her father. Friedrich reassures her, saying, "No, you can trust Uncle Yujin. He's the disciple Dad trusts the most. He might even be more helpful to you than Dad." With a charming smile, Friedrich tells Ain that he will go talk with Yujin for a bit, joking that he needs to have a parent-teacher conference before fully entrusting her to him. Telling Ain to wait for a moment, Friedrich snaps his fingers, creating a wall of magical fire to ensure their conversation remains private. Ain waits silently. The scene shifts to a private study filled with books. Friedrich begins their conversation, admitting to Yujin, "Honestly, I was a bit surprised." As he pours a drink, Friedrich casually recounts the horrific ordeal he put Yujin through. "I pulled out your heart, dismembered your whole body, and threw you between the gaps of different dimensions." He continues, as the panel shows a close-up of Yujin's hollow, haunting eyes. Friedrich takes a sip of his drink, a faint smile on his lips. "Who would have known you'd come back alive?" he muses. Standing before Yujin's fragmented, shadowy form, Friedrich adds, "You always exceed my imagination, you know." He then asks, "What kind of miracle did you experience?" Yujin starts to explain how the properties of the dimensional gap put him in a near-death state, but Friedrich interrupts, saying, Actually, I'm more curious about something else." Friedrich looks at Yujin's unsettling form and asks the critical question, "Yujin, do you still not resent me?" Yujin remains silent. Yujin finally speaks, addressing him as teacher. He begins, "The day you saved me when I was dying." Flashbacks show their shared history, Friedrich teaching him, giving him a balloon animal as a child. Yujin confesses, "No, every single day I spent with you, my only life goal was to live for you." With a wide, manic grin, Yujin declares, "How could I resent you? If you need me, I could die for you right here, right now, with a glad heart." Hearing this declaration of absolute loyalty, a slow, satisfied grin spreads across Friedrich's face. He is silent. Friedrich puts down his glass. "No matter how much I think about it, it really can only be you," he says, seemingly convinced of Yujin's unique nature. He stands up from his chair and approaches Yujin. "Yes, Yujin, if you can still do that much for me." Friedrich then brings up a mysterious topic from their past. "That plan. What if I propose it to you once more?" Yujin's shadowy form can only utter one word in response, "Teacher." Friedrich clarifies, "I told you 14 years ago too, but that plan is kind of. No, extremely, very utterly creepy." Waving his hand dismissively, Friedrich rejects his own proposal. "I can do anything else to help you, but that one thing." "Ah, Tilda, okay. I've been stood up twice, and hearing excuses on top of that would make me feel even more pathetic." He turns away, statting, "I've already given up since that day anyway. I'll just go with plan B. He then looks back at Yujin's form and remarks, but still, The more I look at this, the more amazing it is. Friedrich examines the strange, magical phenomenon that is Yujin. How can you cause something like this without any mana? You came back from a clearly fatal situation thanks to this, right? Yujin explains, I named it ringless magic. Even people who have no mana or so little they can't use magic can use magic if they work hard and study. I've systematized it. Looking directly at Friedrich, Yujin lays out his intentions. First, I'll teach this ringless magic to Ain as my first student. I'll help Ain become an archmage through this ringless magic. With a manic grin, Yujin continues to unveil his vision. And when aspiring mages who admire Archmage Jeong Ain appear, I'll raise lots and lots of kind, capable mages who can dedicate themselves to the world. His passionate speech reaches its climax. When this is fulfilled, it will protect people's happy lives and hope for the future, and create a world full of good, kind magic. That's my dream. Yujin's hollow eyes stare intently at Friedrich. When this dream comes true, he says, you won't need to execute your plan. Friedrich smiles, remarking, such a vague, roundabout, optimistic dream. It's so like you, I like it. Yujin correctly interprets this, saying, whatever you say, in the end you don't like my plan. Friedrich clenches his gloved fist, his decision made. All right, Yujin, he says resolutely. I'll entrust Ain to you. As he speaks, Yujin's fragmented form begins to coalesce around him. Teach her well and raise her as an archmage, Friedrich commands. Yujin bargains, even if you won't help my plan, as long as you don't interfere, I'll support your dream too. Friedrich can only mutter, what a shame, such a shame. Friedrich playfully grabs Yujin's face, making me truly hopeful, then sincerely disappointing me. You're the only one who's ever shaken Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok this much. Yujin gently takes Friedrich's hands. Teacher, no, Ain's father, let me ask one thing of you. Yujin makes his solemn request. Ain will become the second greatest Archmage after you. The expectations you once had for me, please pour them on Ain, not me. The scene cuts back to the waiting room, where Ain sits patiently, clutching her hat in her lap. The wall of fire dissipates, revealing Friedrich and Yujin. Ain looks up and calls out, Father. Friedrich approaches her, asking, did you wait long? It's been a while with Uncle Yujin, so we talked a lot. Ain, her eyes sparkling, quickly replies, no, I didn't wait that long. Friedrich looks at his daughter and asks, Ain, has it been about 14 years since you could use magic? She quietly confirms, yes, about that long. He confesses to her, you know, Dad found it hard to be happy about you risking your life building up achievements to meet Dad's expectations. I was just hoping you'd find a dream you wanted to achieve as a mage. Tears welling in her eyes, Ain begins to stammer, that's not it. She tries to explain, I thought Father, but is cut off as he suddenly pulls her into a warm embrace. Hugging her tightly, Friedrich says, before being Archmage Jeong Ui-Hyeok's proud disciple, you're already Dad's most beloved eldest daughter. He continues to comfort her. No matter what goals you have, how you work, or what results you achieve, remember that fact will never change. He pulls back and adds, I hope you find a goal worthy of your efforts, Ain. Deeply moved, Ain promises, yes, Father, I'll work hard. In the background, Yujin watches the touching scene with his unnerving smile. After the emotional moment, Friedrich clears his throat, signaling a shift in tone as he prepares to depart. Friedrich turns to Yujin, formally addressing him. Director Yujin, I'm entrusting our Ain to you. Yujin enthusiastically agrees. Yes, leave her to me, Ain's father. Ain blushes, flustered, thinking to herself, most beloved daughter. Father's gaze hasn't been withdrawn yet. Yujin abruptly changes the subject. Then let me guide you through the tuition fees. Ain looks up, confused by the sudden shift. As Yujin pulls out his phone to show the details, explaining the curriculum costs, Ain shouts in absolute shock. Wait, hold on. You're charging money. Yujin replies with a creepy, wide-eyed smile. Of course, since she's enrolling in the academy. Ain protests, but you said you'd help me. You made it sound like you'd teach me for free. Yujin explains, I've even prepared a special personal course for Ain, and if I don't charge tuition, other students might think it's unfair. Ain is left speechless and exasperated. Friedrich peers at Yujin's phone and reassures Ain, Dad will pay, so don't worry about it. Looking at it, compared to other places, it seems very affordable. Ain just lets out a stunned, Ain quickly steps in, refusing her father's offer. No, it's okay, Father. I'm 22 years old, an adult, and it's right for me to pay since I've been working. I have money saved up, she declares proudly. Friedrich is moved by her maturity. Yes, Ain's all grown up now. How did you grow up to be so admirable? Ain just laughs, feeling proud. A flashback shows Ain responsibly handling her affairs. An employee confirms, Director, as you requested, we've sold all the magic equipment, including the combat suit. We've paid the full cancellation penalties for all pending commissions, and set up automatic payments for 5 years of donations to the welfare organizations we sponsor. Her employee questions the generous severance pay, asking, "Do you really need to give this much?" Even though company funds weren't enough, if you put in this much of your personal money, your remaining assets. Ain smiles warmly, explaining, "The penalties and donations are necessary so they don't damage your careers. I need to fulfill at least the minimum duty to all of you who worked hard for me." Her employee is moved to tears, exclaiming, "D-Director Tilda." Back in the present, Ain reflects on her decision. She believes settling her finances cleanly protects her and her father's reputation. Though she had to sell her house and move to a monthly rental, she thinks she'll be fine as long as she's frugal. Ironically, her final thought is, "I'm glad teacher Yujin isn't the type to demand tuition fees." The chapter concludes with Friedrich's encouragement. "Let's do well, Ain. Yes, I'll be cheering for you, my daughter." Crying tears of determination, Ain responds with a simple, heartfelt, "Yes."